Nice. He's over there practicing. I told him to relax.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. Before we start, please, if you have cell phones, please silence them or cut them off for us, please. Tonight, our invocation will be done by Mayor Pro Tem Gleason and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Way. Mayor Pro Tem.
Please bow with me if you wish. Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us gather here this evening to do the work of the citizens of Creedmoor. Please look over those that have been ravaged by floods in the last few days. And although we thank you for the rain, we hope for a little dry weather. Again, thank you for all that you do for us, and you help us do for our citizens what you would do. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Ray. Commissioner Kaczynski. Commissioner Albright. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins is absent, and Mayor Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you, sir.
And please make sure we have a note that his absence was excused.
Yes.
All right. Now, item 4, approval of agenda. Is there any additions or subtractions that need to be made to the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion is made by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. All right. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. All right. Next is introductions and recognitions and presentations. Recognition for Main Street Beautification Project. And where's my... I got this, but who am I supposed to present it to?
She's coming up. She will. Excuse me, Mayor. Erica? Erica, will you come up front, please? Erica Ashley, Mike Turner, City Manager. Mayor Wheeler.
All right. We're proud to present the certificate of appreciation, which is presented to Erica Ashley for your valuable contribution in enhancing the beauty of the city of Creedmoor. Robert D. Wheeler, Mayor. Thank you. For y'all that don't know, Miss Erica did the mural that was on the middle of Main Street on the side of one of our buildings that recognized the history and present day of Creedmoor. We were really excited to have that there, and she did an excellent job. All right. I don't have them in here. It's John Zabonick. Also, it's his building, I believe. Who? Nate Killar, who also, I think, runs the business.
Yes, Environmental, Edge Environment.
And David Good, I believe, is involved with that.
We'll get their certificates to them.
All right, item 6B, recognition of achievement for Police Officer Richard Thorson. Chief Wheelis.
Good evening, Mayor Wheeler, members of the board. The North Carolina Criminal Justice Education Training Standards Commission offers a professional certificate program to recognize the level of competency of officers serving governmental agencies within the state to foster increased interest in college education and professional training programs, and to attract highly qualified people into law enforcement and criminal justice careers. Eligibility for professional certificates is determined by a formula that combines formal education, professional training, and work experience as a law enforcement or criminal justice officer. Officer Thorson attended Campbell University before transferring to UNC Wilmington, where he earned a bachelor's degree in business administration. On August 1st, 2014, Thorson graduated basic law enforcement training from Brunswick Community College. Officer Thorson began his employment with the Creedmoor Police Department on November 1st, 2017 as a part-time officer. Thorson worked in a part-time capacity until he was hired as a full-time officer on June 17, 2024. Prior to his employment with CPD, Thorson has served as a deputy chief for the Allied Universal Special Police. Congratulations, Officer Thorson, on your dedication and your hard work to enhance your law enforcement career.
All right, we move to item 6C, presentation by Crisis TEC LLC on the City of Creedmoor's Emergency Operation Plan. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On December the 3rd, 2024, the board awarded a contract to Crisis Tech LLC to prepare an emergency operation plan for the City of Creedmoor in an amount not to exceed $20,500. Contract award was based on history, qualifications, credentials, experience, design, facilitation, approach, and proposal amounts. Since December 2024, Crisis Tech has facilitated an initial meeting and greet, a kickoff meeting, weekly planning meetings, 2 site visits to Creedmoor, provided the required ICS EOC training. He provided a 4-hour tabletop opportunity. City participants in the tabletop exercise included the Mayor Wheeler, City Manager, Chief Wheelis, Lieutenant Seth, Lieutenant Cates, Lee Faines, Barbara Rouse, Camille Lockley, Michael Frangos, Carl Barclay, Steve Edwards, Philip Howell, Christy McCurdy, Angie Perry, and Sarah Sproul. Other participants included Robin Edwards from the Granville County Office of Emergency Management and 2 representatives from the Creedmoor Volunteer Fire Department. Mr. Scott Brooks, who's president and owner of Crisis Tech LLC, will provide the board this evening with a PowerPoint presentation and respond to questions.
We thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Wheeler, members of the board. Thank you very much for having me this afternoon. And we have a presentation, so that's always a good thing. Technology's not my strong suit, so I never know about these. Great, there's a clicker, so I'm good to go then. So, thank you very much for the opportunity. We had a a great experience working with the city during this process, so I'd like to just spend a few minutes, and I'll try to be brief with this. But brief is not my forte. But we'll go through this process really quick and tell you about the overall emergency operations plan that we prepared for you during these last 7-8 months or so. So we follow what is called the CPG 101, or FEMA's Comprehensive Preparedness Guide. And there just happens to be a brand new May 2025 CPG 101. So we started in an older version, but we finished with a brand new, fresh off the press. And we compared the two and made sure that we're 100% compliant with the CPG version 3.1, which is the May 25 version. So that is a 6-step process, and I'm just going to walk you through those 6 steps pretty quickly to kind of let you see a process, the process that we went through, kind of a step-by-step anyway. So number 1 was our overall planning team. So as the manager said, the manager, the clerk, the department heads, and several other key staff were involved in this overall process. So we began with a kickoff meeting, multiple video conferences that ranged anywhere from an hour to 2 hours apiece, that we spent time talking about the different roles and responsibilities, resources, some strengths, some gaps that the town may have, what their feelings are. We really needed to get the understanding of the city itself, and who better to give it to us than the city employees, the department heads themselves. So we came back with that knowledge and provided them with a tabletop exercise that was a fairly large-scale tornado event, significant weather event, that really challenged them with a lot of community infrastructure that was damaged, and to see how they responded to that. And they'd done a really, really good job with that. So we took that information back and finished up the plan associated with that. We gave them a draft plan in June for them to review and tweak and give us back some feedback associated with that. And now we're down to this final presentation review process. So a part of that, the number 2 process is a risk and threat analysis. So beyond their information that they gave us, we really dug into the Tar River Regional Hazard Mitigation Plans, which is something that you participate in, along with other municipalities and, of course, the county as well. Rather thick document, goes into a lot of detail about your overall risk and threat that you are subject to here as the city of Creedmoor here. So we took a tremendous amount of detail from that, and that is how we chose what portions of threats to prepare you for as a part of your emergency operations plan. So these are the goals and objectives that we come up with. We're working with the team to ensure that we accomplish those for you. So we wanted an EOP that was a comprehensive document that details how the city will respond to emergencies and disasters. We wanted it to describe the overall roles, responsibilities, functions, and authorities of various agencies involved in the response. We wanted it to serve as a roadmap for emergency management, outlining the general strategies and policies that guide the emergency response. But we didn't want it to be such a strict set of rules, but more of giving a structure from which a response can be effectively built. To do that, we come up with a function-focused format, and I'll tell you what that is here in just a second. But what that does typically is it organizes the plan into a basic plan, gives you functional annexes, and then hazard-specific annexes, and that's exactly what we built for you. So when you see your plan, you'll have a basic plan, then you'll have functional annexes, which gives you critical or emergency response, and then detail how those specific procedures and responsibilities for each function. And then you'll have multiple hazard-specific annexes. So we'll take all of the specific threats or hazards that you are at risk of, such as severe weather, hazardous material, etc., and we'll give you a step-by-step suggestion on how you'll deal with those. A part of this overall adoption or overall emergency operations plan is what's called National Incident Management System adoption. And I know that's a mouthful, but that's a FEMA, Federal Emergency Management mandate, that is a part of this emergency management process that you adopt the National Incident Management System. So you can see there at the bottom, I wouldn't worry about reading the whole paragraph. That's, a rather large mouthful. But the bottom here is, why would you want to adopt NIMS? Because it gives you improved coordination, resource optimization, mutual aid facilitation, which is very important in a rather large incident. You're going to want help, and you need to facilitate that as efficiently and effectively as you can. Gives you enhanced preparedness, which you've already come a long ways on, and I'll explain that here in just a second. And it also makes you eligible for federal funding, okay? So as far as disaster recovery standpoint funding, it makes you eligible for that. So in other words, if the tornado that we simulated during your tabletop exercise, if it damaged a government building, and you wanted recovery money to help, recover from that and replace that or rebuild that government building if you were not NIMS compliant, then you may or may not, I'm not the one that could justify that, but you may or may not be eligible for that grant funding from the federal government without being NIMS compliant. By doing this, we're helping you to ensure that you will be NIMS compliant so that you would be eligible for that funding. So a part of that is NIMS or ICS training. That's one major component of that. And that NIMS, I can't emphasize how important that NIMS training is, but I do want to tell you that when we arrived, a part of our bid process was to provide an entire NIMS program to the city employees. Honestly, when we arrived, the manager gave us a list of all the NIMS training, and the employees were compliant. So we were able to honestly just offer some advanced training, some suggestions on some stuff that we think would improve the response to some significant incidents, like some public information officers, some advanced finance training, etc. But as far as the basic NIMS mandates, they were compliant. So we couldn't provide a lot of, extra educational opportunities there. So you've came a long ways. You're in a great position there from a training standpoint. So that's good news for you there. Whoever, had already worked on that had done you a really good job and got us ahead from there. So I told you a little bit about the tabletop exercise. The mayor actually participated in that. The big thing that was a big challenge for is we really worked on all of the community infrastructure. We tried to challenge them with if they lost telephone, if they lost radio system, if we were out power, if the water and the sewer were affected. It was really a really bad scenario to where most everything that they would rely on was really challenged. So we would hope that, in a normal, a significant event for them, that they have a lot of those capabilities available. But in the scenario, we really wanted to see how they would react when they didn't have much to work with. So they done a really good job with very, very limited resources from that particular standpoint of having a lot to choose from. So the review and approve process, we really took an opportunity to look at that from an adequacy, a feasibility, acceptability, completeness, and compliance standpoint. There were quite a few additions, changes, updates, whatever you would want to say, that the town came back to us with, that we need to update this and change this. I would like to say that we had everything right the first time, but unfortunately, it's not quite that way. So we made changes, and then we went back and made changes again, and we made some more changes to get it right, to get it the way that the city needs it. And that's exactly what we were hired to do, and we were glad to be able to do that. The good news is now, hopefully after tonight, you will approve that, and it will become your plan, and The good thing about this is now it's a maintenance process. It's a living document from here on. So after an event, after an exercise, the process is you should sit and look at that plan, you should look at the event, you should do an after-action review, you should take the opportunity and see if there needs to be any updates to the plan. If you have an event or if your threat changes, something new develops that we did not build into our plan, then it's a good opportunity to add to the plan if something new develops. So it's a continuous process that I hope you don't just kind of put on a shelf. Too many places spend money and they put this and they set it up on a shelf and they just let it sit there, and in 5 years, if we've not really touched it, we're going to have a 5-year-old plan that's just not much, okay? So I urge you to really schedule routine reviews, gather feedback from employees and emergency responders. That is kind of your ace in the hole. You've got great employees. You've got some really good leaders within your organization. If you'll ask them, then they'll be involved in the process and they'll help you go through that and ensure that it's up to date and compliant. Keep abreast of any new regulations or standards. Regularly train all employees on the latest emergency procedures. Clearly document any of those changes in the EOP. You don't have to hire a consultant to do that every year, okay? That's not required.
If we stop this,
Absolutely. I'm sorry, sir.
I do have one question. You said about keeping abreast of new regulations and standards. Is there somebody that those regulations get emailed to so that we are aware of what's changed?
We have shared a little bit of that, but I'm going to be honest with you. Myself and the manager has developed quite a bit of friendship. He's got my cell number. I pretty much believe he's going to call me or text me anytime he has a question, and we'll be glad to share any of that information.
So that you don't automatically send it to...
No, I don't really have a process to be able to do that, but I can give him like the listserv and from the from UNC School of Government does an emergency management listserv, so we can do some things like that to kind of help keep abreast of that. I have not thought about that, but that's a great question. If you'll help me remember that, sir, I'll help you with that. But we'll help keep up with that.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
We've been trying to get this done for years. And I'm glad we did. And I think what you said, and the most important part is the implementation and maintenance. If we don't stick with it, if we don't maintain it, if we don't meet 6 months or quarterly or whatever to make sure that anything new that's needed by our police department, by the fire department, by infrastructure needs of the community. So again, we finally have a document. As you said, it's a living document, and we have to make sure it stays alive all the time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Kuczynski, any questions? Mr. Way, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Please continue.
All right. Now we're to the approval process. So a motion to approve resolution 20, am I supposed to read that or?
You can, yes, sir.
Make sure I didn't overstep my bounds there. Motion to approve resolution 2025-R02, adopting the City of Creedmoor Emergency Operations Plan and resolution 2025-R03, which is establishing the National Incident Management System as a standard for incident management in the City of Creedmoor. See, I did overstep my bounds.
Mr. Gordon, you've heard the resolution. We do need a motion as read, so I'll entertain a motion. Motion's made by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any additional questions?
One question.
Mr. Kuczynski.
So, it's a living, breathing document, but it's kind of like a trial and error thing. We've got the plan, and as situations arrive, we will do, or they will do, whatever it is they learned about. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we have got to go back to the drawing board, apparently.
You'll tweak it a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it's going to work for the most part. I'm going to tell you, there might be little things that you just need to smooth the edges. And I do that in my own plan.
Yeah.
It's just like your home plan or anything. I think that it's a trial and error. It's going to serve your needs, but you're going to say, well, you know what, if we would adjust it just a little bit, then it would be a little bit better. If we would involve this person, this agency, if we would have done this a little earlier, if we would have made this tweak, then it would have been better. The next time, it might have been a little bit of a different scenario.
Oh my God, don't say the next time.
Well, unfortunately, it happens that way. So I'll use something like snow. In my county, we're going to get at least 2 snow and ice events a year. They're never the same, but they are the same. There's snow and ice, but it's still never the same, okay? Right. So we tweak them a little bit each time. Yeah. But you can't say every time that, because one's going to come in at night, one's going to come in at day, one's going to come in, at rush hour traffic, the other one's not. It's always a little something different. So you have to just adjust a little bit.
Well, we tried to arrange for some lightning while you were giving your display, but the weather didn't work with us.
It was here before I...
Okay, got it. Thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
Mr. Wade, any questions? Just before we vote, if the copies of the resolutions are on page 37 and 38. All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
All right. We now move to D, Tar River Land Conservancy. Mr. Alford. Good to see you again, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor. Evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. I know we've been trying to arrange for an update presentation for a while. I apologize, our schedules were hard to align with you all's, but we're happy to be here tonight. Tar River Land Conservancy has had a long history of collaborations with the City of Creedmoor going back a couple of decades. Some of you may know about that. Some of that collaboration predates y'all's time and service to the city. In particular, you're familiar with our most recent collaboration, which is the Robertson Creek Nature Preserve, which we'll touch on how that's going here in a minute. Joining me tonight is Michelle Mound, and Michelle will give an update kind of on where we fit in terms of our land protection work that we do, as well as the nature preserve and trails that we have in and around Creedmoor here in a second. But before we do that, let me give you just a couple of updates. Is it the green button? Okay. No, that's not it. Arrow. There we go. All right. Just as a reminder of who we are as an organization, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're a land trust in the vernacular of the conservation world. We were founded almost 25 years ago as an organization and been working on projects in and around Creedmoor almost since the beginning, before my time with the Conservancy. There are 21 organizations like ours, including our organization around the state of North Carolina, all working in their own important areas. We happen to work in an 8-county area, which includes Granville, a very important county, as it turns out from a conservation standpoint. Our office is in Lewisburg, just to the east in Franklin County. And like any nonprofit, we have a board of directors that guide our work, and we have several from Granville County who serve on our board, many of whom have been on our board for many years. We are one of about 600 or 700 organizations around the country that's accredited, so we meet really the highest standards for this land preservation work that land conservancies in the nonprofit sector do around the country. I'm going to hand it over to Michelle to talk a little bit about our land protection work and a few other things.
All right, so just to give some more statistics on the land we have protected, since 2000, we have protected over 24,000 acres of land in our region. that currently includes 7,000 acres that we own and over 10,000 acres that we monitor or we hold conservation easements on. We also monitor state-held conservation easements for the Department of Environmental Quality and the North Carolina Land and Water Fund. There is a Land and Water Fund easement on the Gauntlet track, so we are close by. So since 2017, we've really worked on looking for properties that would be great for public access and recreation. So since then, we have opened 5 nature preserves in the Stem, Creedmoor, and Butner areas. That's on about 900 acres of land, and currently it's 14.8 miles of trails on those properties. Here is a map just to show you where they all are. Robertson Creek Nature Preserve is the only one within the boundaries of Creedmoor. However, all of them are within a short drive away from you. The most recent one is the Pitcher Branch Nature Preserve, which we just opened last month. It's a little over 2.5 acres or miles of trails. This is connected to a future housing development, and we've been working closely with the developer to get access to the property and connect our trails to future trails that they plan to have on their neighborhood. We're hoping to replicate this in the future with housing developments that are already existing or future ones that are developed adjacent to our properties that have trails on them or on future trails properties. This is the Robertson Creek Nature Preserve, the one you know best. We have about 1.9 miles on this. As you can see from the image, a lot of the property is covered in wetlands, which is great for wildlife, but to provide trails for that, we'd have to build boardwalks, which at the time, we don't have the means for that, but we have the possibility of those in the future. We hope to be able to do that. These are some pictures of the property. Obviously, you see in the top right corner, there is those wetlands. They're beautiful. They're great for birds and wildlife. And because of those wet conditions, as you see in the top left corner, that's what we call a bog bridge. That's over about 1,000 feet of the trails in the wet areas to keep the trail elevated so it's not muddy and washed out. And then we have benches and kiosks that contain information for brochures, maps, information on the properties on all of our nature preserves. We also, if you want more information, we have all of our trails on alltrails.com, which is also a phone app. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. You can look up nearby trails or just search the actual specific name of the property. But on there, you'll find maps, photos, reviews of all the properties. And if you have an app, you can start your activity and be able to follow the map and it'll record your activity. We also have all of our properties on a site called ebird.org. This is great access for birders. You can upload the observations for each of these properties. You can just search through the preserve. So all the observations, you can make your own account and start observing, but you can also just learn what birds are on there. They have links to more information about the birds, photos. It's pretty cool. I would definitely look into making that.
Birding is a big thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of birds.
Big thing, yeah. And quite honestly, just as an aside, birding is a big tourism thing, and it draws a lot of people to Granville County because all of our sites are on the eBird program. And we happen to find out about this because we have a volunteer who lives not too far from Mr. Turner down in that corner of Granville County, who is really a renowned expert and has been inventorying birds and drawing other birding groups to Granville County for day visits, which is a wonderful thing. So check it out and learn more about them. Michelle mentioned that one of the big features of the trail network at the Robertson Creek Nature Preserve is about 1,000 feet of what we call bog bridge. We didn't make up that term. We kind of borrowed it from other organizations that do this sort of work. Back in 2021, we were looking to try to open up 3 nature preserves, including Robertson Creek. We came to Creedmoor, to Granville County, to Stem, to Butner, and to a number of private foundations to raise a significant amount of money to be able to really simultaneously work on all the sites together. That led to the opening over time of the 3 sites, including Robertson Creek. Creedmoor put in $25,000. Ultimately, it costs us about $55,000 to be able to cover the big expenses and all the little expenses associated with getting the trail set up, building these bog bridges, putting in the signage, the parking areas, the permits, all the other things that go with it. But we're grateful to Creedmoor for that investment back in 2021 because we're really proud of the outcome. one of the things that we've learned is that we have to kind of be ready to adapt the work. And most of what you see, out there has been done by volunteers, notwithstanding the parking area, which of course was done by great contractors. But all of the work requires materials. And what we found with this particular set of trails where they can walk on the wetter ground during the wet times of the year and not muddy it up or get their shoes muddied, is that we didn't build them high enough. We built them on recycled 4x4 plastic boards, and to keep the water from wicking up into the wooden planks that go across, but it's turned out not to be high enough. Between the water that comes through sometimes after flooding events in the wintertime, or leaves and pine needles that go underneath it. And so, like anything, we've kind of gone back to the drawing board and decided that we need to raise some more money to improve this, and we have volunteers who are chomping at the bit to jump on this. And we've identified about $7,000 in costs. It's not cheap for some of these materials, but every piece gets hauled in one by volunteers, and we have a game plan to do it. So Mike Frangos asked us to identify any needs we might have for Robertson Creek, and really that's the big one right now, is looking for some funds, and we've just started kind of that process of looking around. So we would welcome maybe further conversations about an investment from Creedmoor to help us make it a little more resilient, if you will, to the uses over time. How many of you have been at Robertson Creek Nature Preserve? I know you've all driven by it 1,000 times. All right, good. I know Mayor Wheeler has, because we walked it together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Quick question on that. The Robertson Creek does stretch to the back end of the Pine Valley. At one point, there was some discussion of connecting, having an exit spot there where Pine Valley meets this.
Yep.
I didn't know where that was, or if that was still an option.
Well, sure, and so Michelle made reference to the project the Nature Preserve we just opened up outside of STEM. It's actually in STEM's corporate limits. The entrance is in the majority of lands in Butner's ETJ, so it was kind of a cross-jurisdictional project. But that's one where it actually has a development that's underway, the second phase of Magnum Farms, which has been stalled for years. And luckily, because really of the interest from the town of STEM Board of Commissioners, and the ability for us to kind of be nimble, we figured out how to design our trail network to fit in with the open space areas that the town was requiring that the neighborhood developer, set aside for trails within the neighborhood, and those connected. We would love to do the same sort of thing and connect existing neighborhoods or new neighborhoods that are built next to this site over time, and there's been some initial conversations, kind of at the early on stages about neighborhoods up to the northwest, that you all have considered, but it really hasn't gone, very far. We talked about, making a connection to Pine Valley. They have an open space designated property, which is, if you can see the houses on the left-hand side of our boundary, I don't remember the name of that, but just to the south of it where you see the transmission corridor coming southward towards Highway 56, that's really their land, and most of it is actually wet and flooded, and there's really not enough road frontage, unfortunately, when we looked at it, to have a safe place for people to be able to get in and out, and particularly if someone wanted to park at that location, it can create an impediment for traffic in and out of the neighborhood. So instead, what we're hoping could take place through the planning process, through discussions with developers who may be looking to build north of this property, there could be other connections to get people onto our preserve and connect to the existing trails that we have. So we're very open to that. Just nothing has really materialized in the discussion so far.
Well, I know we had a couple that kind of got lost in there at one point, and I was thinking it would be good if we had a second entrance or exit at least closer to the warehouse, something that easily identifiable, so they say, oh, here's this house.
Sure. Yeah, and there was an incident last summer, I think, where two visitors did get turned around or tired out and weren't sure which direction to go. The good news is that the majority of our trail networks, as you can see here, are designed in kind of a loop fashion. As long as you kind of keep going in the direction you start, you're going to end up back at the parking lot. don't know all the details of what occurred in that case, but ultimately the volunteer fire department and the PD and some of our staff were able to help them get out through the Pine Valley. That's right. Since we've opened up in November of 2022, that's the only incident that I know of where we've had somebody kind of get turned around, and hopefully we can avoid any of that. That's why we keep the maps, the brochures, everything, all the information there at the front. So if you're brand new to Creedmoor and you're checking out those trails for the first time, if you can read a map, you'll be able to know where you're going once you start walking.
Was there any other questions while we
Back to the, I will, thank you. All right. So Robertson Creek is just one of 7 tracts total that we own within the city limits of Creedmoor. All of the rest of them are south of Highway 56 along the Robertson Creek corridor. They connect up with other tracts that are conservation tracts, some of which are owned by the city, including number 6 on this map, which is the Gauntlet property on Brassfield Road. They all are properties, the ones that we own, which is just shy of 400 acres of land within your corporate limits, that we very mindfully bought or acquired many years ago over a sequence of transactions because they had really very limited suitability for development, but they had high conservation value, wetland areas, floodplain areas, forested areas, that if we could preserve them really were great benefit from an environmental standpoint. It also happened to be that these were these were properties that were along what was proposed to be a future greenway system within the city of Creedmoor. And that idea wasn't one that we came up with, but was one some of your predecessors really had kind of bounced around a number of years ago, taking advantage of a network of sewer easements, which is outlined in red here. It didn't label it on the map, that eventually could be created to connect different parts of town, businesses, schools, neighborhoods over time. Officially, when this idea was first kind of adopted by the city of Creedmoor was in a 2011 bicycle transportation plan. It was the same plan that conceived and proposed the Cross City Trail, which of course you're all familiar with, which is an incredible asset and used by a lot of folks on a daily basis within the city. But in that same plan, this greenway system, which was proposed, that I showed on the map along the sewer easements, was one that kind of propelled us to think about conservation and public recreation going hand in hand. It's our understanding, let me go to the next slide, for those who are trying to get a picture around what a concept of a greenway is, this is what the greenway system in Wake Forest looks like, and a lot of their current greenways go along sewer easements. And you can't really see at this level in the upper left, but there's a manhole cover from a sewer line on that picture up in the left-hand corner. It also includes crossings of streams, boardwalks across wetland areas, all of which could be implemented over time with funding in Creedmoor and could go along and within preserved properties that the Conservancy owns and that you all own. It's safe to say that when the time comes, when Creedmoor is able to move forward with that, if you are able to move forward in increments over time, we're going to be a very willing landowner to work with to try to make that happen. It's our understanding that the current master parks and recreation plan that's being developed by your consultant is going to kind of re-endorse this idea and hopefully give it some new energy to move forward with in the coming years as Creedmoor is considering growth. The last set of properties that Mike Frangos asked us to touch on tonight is the properties that you all, I think, know as the Lake Rogers North tracts. These are some tracts that are above Lake Rogers that are outside of your corporate limits and outside of your ETJ as well, I think. Is that correct, Mike? Right. Years ago, it was proposed to be within the Creedmoor corporate limits as things kind of happen over time. That didn't come to pass. But these were tracts of land that originally the Conservancy, Tar River Land Conservancy, gained ownership of in 2001 and 2. We were approached by Creedmoor when they were looking for a site to be able to put the dredge material from the Lake Rogers dredging project in about 2006, 7, 8 timeframe. and our properties kind of met the need. We ended up working out an arrangement to transfer those properties, the ownership of it, in 2006. The dredging took place over the next several years under grant funds that the city had at that point, and then the material was deposited on a couple of these tracts that are outlined in green. Tar River retained restrictive covenants on the property similar to a conservation easement, so we have, in our responsibilities, continued to visit the properties on an annual basis, and we give feedback to Mr. Turner and to Mr. Frangos on things that we see that may not conform with the restrictions. They're all conservation-type restrictions in the land. In the meantime, since that has taken place, we've actually acquired some more land. We've become the owners of another 211 acres, which you can see outlined in red on the map, which share just a little bit of a boundary on the northeast corner of your Lake Rogers North tracts. Recently, Mike Frangos has, posed a question, which I understand has kind of been discussed a little bit with you all, which is, would the Conservancy consider taking ownership of these properties again from the city of Creedmoor? And my answer at this point is maybe, possibly. We're certainly open to that discussion. I mentioned it at our last Board of Directors meeting that there might be more discussions, and we've been asked to come to this board meeting to make a presentation, and we would follow with our board about it. But we're an accredited organization, and we have a really higher bar we have to meet to be able to take ownership of land, including ones we may have owned in the past as an organization, and that includes really a higher level of due diligence, including, in this case, a new boundary survey, marking lines, some of which are really not marked in the field, and we really should have had it done back in 2006 before it was transferred, but that's hindsight. It is safe to say that, we could, if our board was willing to entertain moving forward with this idea, we could seek some funding, grant funding to be able to kind of underwrite the costs of the transaction to cover some of the due diligence. But we probably would need to have Creedmoor contribute some of the costs to be able to help enable this, to lure in other sources of funding to match the dollars. You all are familiar with how that concept works when you go get your own grants. You have to put some of your own funds up to start with. So in closing, thank you very much for your time tonight. These are really just, several ways in which we have and we hope to continue to collaborate between Tar River Land Conservancy and the city of Creedmoor over time. We, in the interest of your time tonight, we won't, take any more, we won't go any more details about all this, but we are very excited to be able to sit down and talk to you, Mr. Turner, or any and all of you, if there's interest in delving into some of these issues a little further that we talked about tonight. Mr. Mayor?
I appreciate it. Mr. Wade, any questions?
I'm just so grateful that you came, and your presentation was wonderful, and the things that you are doing are wonderful. I have got to go to the Gauntlet, but I'm not going there alone. I'm so afraid to be alone in the woods. But I will get there. I will drag somebody with me.
Take somebody with you.
I will.
And invite one of us if you want somebody to go with you. We'll walk with you.
He'll find my way out. I know he will.
And that's, you make a great point. Not everybody is comfortable out in the woods or seeing these places or navigating things. But find somebody you know, if you're curious and want to go visit, find somebody you know. Find one of your colleagues up here on the dais and ask them to go with you and check it out. Reach out to us, send me an email, I'll find a time to come visit.
I've got a 7-year-old that knows all the trails.
There we go, there we go.
He runs all over, he runs around the Gauntlet.
They'll get you out, yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? Again, we know, hopefully we can do more to help get so that we can finish reading that. Definitely, Washington Creek, so when we go down and push me in a wheelchair. I'm glad for what you do.
travelers that run lovers and I'm getting to these right now, like the simpler things, sitting on the back porch with a middle lovers and watching my birds. I don't want, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's great.
No alcoholic beverages on our property, unfortunately. But
Why did you say that?
it does have to go in the minutes, Mayor, but just kidding. Yes, thank you. You can count on it. Thank you all very much. Yeah.
All right, the year, we have nobody to request address the board. Public comment, Mr. Acceptance.
Mayor, thank you always for, I'm for 5:14 later on here in Creedmoor. 3 minutes, very quick, Mayor, very quick. Thank you, I forgot her name, it's so beautiful, the main street. I said, all my friends want to make a selfie there in the wall, so thank you very much. They put it in Facebook, But anyway, Mayor, I want to, just a comment quick. We just so pleased on the July 3, the fireworks, and I hope the county and the city will continue to organize this. I've been almost living here in Granville County for almost 30 years. That's the only one time in a year that the whole county, well, not the whole county, but people gather one time in a year, at least 3 to 5 hours. Everybody's happy, the children eating hot dog and everything, music and everything. So I hope the city continue to organize it, and I think STEM and Butler. So I saw Commissioner Krasinski singing the national anthem there and everything, very nice. And the mayor of STEM, Mayor Butler, and the sheriff was there. So we just so pleased. All my friends from Durham even came. Oh, you got a big fireworks in here. Yeah, you need to move in Creedmoor. So I just want to say that, Mayor, it's very nice fireworks. The weather is so good, and I hope the city of Creedmoor and Angela, the in charge, will continue to do it because all the family enjoy it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we move down now to old business, 9A. John Rigsby, request for extension. Mr. Franklin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. How are you tonight? Start off with a good meeting. Got a good start of some of these presentations here and things that we'll be working on in the future, no doubt, with Tar River. Tonight's item is a consideration of a conditional zoning approval that the board made back in 2022, related to John Rigsby's property, which we all affectionately call the old shirt factory. It is now called Creedmoor Restoration, 308 West Hillsborough Street. So back then, the conditional zone was to allow the use of automobile restoration at that site, and there were conditions associated with that approval at that time. Specifically, there were issues related to screening, parking of vehicles, improvements made to the site, et cetera, and there was a requirement to install a sidewalk across the front of the building, across the frontage of the entire property, along the north side of Hillsborough Street. So Barbara, where are we? Do we have a map? Is there something we want to show here? Staff report, yeah, keep going. I'm going to click through, okay. Right, so the item here tonight is the request to continue the extension of the requirement for the improvement. Initially, the conditional district approval gave Mr. Rigsby 2 years to put in the sidewalk, so that was all of 23 and 24, right? Came to me in about, sometime early in 2024, and we talked about the fact that, things were difficult and trying to get that sidewalk installed, and he asked me for an extension. So I performed an extension for him based upon a minor modification, which is authorized in the general statutes as well as our Creedmoor Development Ordinance, and I gave John an additional year, specifically to try to get that sidewalk done. Well, August 1st of 2025, that year is up. And I remember we talked about it then, that, I wasn't going to be giving any more extensions. Certainly the idea of a minor modification has passed, and any need for a further extension would come back to this board for consideration. So that's where we are now. August 1st, 2025 is the new deadline that's been established for the sidewalk completion. I don't think they're going to meet it. That's 2 weeks away. There hadn't been a single, piece of dirt turned or sidewalk laid. So right now, obviously, they will not be in compliance as of August 1st, 2025, and that's why they're here. They want to try, get an extension from you all in order to complete the required sidewalk in the next period of time. Now, I want you all to know that we do have a plan, and these sidewalks are planned throughout the city. Hillsborough Street obviously is a crucial connection from North Durham Avenue over to Elm Street. It's a need, certainly tremendous need for that kind of bicycle pedestrian improvement along that roadway. I don't think anybody argues that. And our ordinance does require that improvements that are made, along these corridors and improvements that were made to these properties, when a certain amount of investment is reached, then that improvement becomes a requirement. So indeed, it was part of the conditional district approval. City Plan 2040 is where that planning lives, and the sidewalk is not there right now. So the question is, what do we do? Where do we go from here? How do we continue? Your agenda includes several options, from the draconian revocation of the conditional district permit all the way through to forget it, it's fine. Well, we don't want that. We want the sidewalk to be built, and we want to find a way to get the condition satisfied by the applicant. Now, John is here tonight, and certainly I'd like to give him an opportunity to speak to you about his situation and maybe why he hasn't been able to get through and have this sidewalk installed to this point. But again, in your agenda packet, there are several alternatives, including fee in lieu, potential developers agreement, performance bond, other things that, we can go through to try to gain compliance. But we've wanted to proceed, I guess, without the punitive nature of punishment. Our goal is always compliance. But when we can't get compliance, that's why we have to bring them back to you all as the board to determine a course forward. Does anybody have any questions on any of these particular alternatives? Are there any of them that are not clear to you as far as, you have a wide breadth of how you could proceed, and many of these remedies are outlined here, or you might craft something new that comes through tonight as far as what we can do moving forward. So I've made a suggestion to you in your staff report. Certainly we've had some discussion recently with Mr. Rigsby about how he wants to go forward, and made y'all aware of that recently here. So I don't know of anything more that you'd like me to try to answer after we hear from him.
Mr. Wade?
Mr. Franco, is this the only outstanding item on his CZ permit?
Yes, that is correct. It's the only thing undone. Everything else has been complied with.
All right, so just a sidewalk to nowhere.
The sidewalk to nowhere, yes, sir. Across his frontage, it's about 400 feet, a little over 400 feet of linear footage that would be from one side to the other. It's significant. It's not zero, and certainly it's a pricey endeavor. I think we all know that any kind of pathway, sidewalk, concrete of that quantity.
Currently, we know we want to extend sidewalks
throughout the city.
Correct, and on Hillsborough Street, but we have no target date as of this time to proceed down Hillsborough.
That's right.
So it would be...
It's on the plan.
Right.
It's a dotted line on a map.
So it's a sidewalk to nowhere.
Yep.
with no connecting on each side.
Yep,
So somebody could get in front of his business and just ride a bicycle in front of his business.
yep, with an American flag.
Well, whatever works. It's free country, whatever they want.
That's right, if they want to do that, they could. The idea also would be that the sidewalk is not actually on the private property of Rigsby's, they would be in the right-of-way, but of course, right on the edge of the right-of-way. There is a plan, at least a draft plan that was initially included in your packet, it's really hard to see, but there is a sidewalk across that southern frontage. You can zoom in a little bit, okay. You can see it, but your point is correct, sir, it is a sidewalk to nowhere, it stubs at both ends to no connection.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to my personal opinion on this. I know that we have these procedures and policies that are in place because they're needed.
We have ordinances in place.
Ordinances in place
Yes, sir.
that are needed.
Yes, sir.
I go with what your recommendation is, but, there's a reason for these ordinances to be in place. But, it is an undertaking, a financial, burden on a business owner, especially this day and age with the prices of everything. To build a sidewalk that you can't go nowhere on. Now, if we were hard and heavy coming down Hillsborough and building like a railroad track, then absolutely. But, I go with your recommendation of what you have submitted to us.
My goal is compliance. My goal is that the city won't have to pay for those 420 linear feet of sidewalk.
Absolutely.
And it would be the property owner's responsibility to improve their own frontage.
Absolutely. I agree. But that's just, like I said, that was my opinion.
Sir?
Commissioner Kuczynski.
So, I know that Mr. Rigsby has done a lot of improvement to that building, and it's been very costly. Upgrading the building with fire suppression and all the other things hoops he's had to jump through for that building. And this is just one more thing on top of it. From what I understand, the deadlines by others have been a lot more serious and more urgent than ours was. So I agree with your suggestion to extend him another year. 3 months, we would anticipate the agreement approved by NCDOT, which I spoke to today, and they haven't had an application received by them yet, including any adjustments to design, provide approval to the CDO and conditions, and by August 1st, 2026, if the date of the sidewalk complete to the applicant will be considered in violation, and we would make a decision at that time on any fine that might be proposed. But first of all, we do not want Creedmoor Restoration to leave Creedmoor. We're glad you're here. We want to keep you here. We don't want you to leave. So I am okay with giving them another year extension with the terms you outlined in your suggestion.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? I kind of go along with Robert, and have you spoken with Mr. Rigsby about those conditions? And is he somewhat in agreement with? I have no problem with that. Commissioner Albright.
I agree with my cohorts here, all three of them, but I would like to have some kind of, at least, like a halfway update, like a 6 months, knowing that he applied for the DOT and, those kinds of things. I would like to see Mr. Rigsby come back and to let him know that we've been in good faith with him, and we trust that if we give you this extension, that you will come back and at least give us at least a 6 months update on what you've accomplished, and just to let us know that you're also trusting us that we've given you the extension that you've asked for. But I'd like to see you come back and at least do those things for us, if my coworkers will agree.
February?
Yeah.
February?
Yeah.
6 would be 6 months?
Yes, please.
All right, Mr. Frangos, here's the big question. When are we going to put sidewalks down Hillsborough Street?
I'm rubber and you're glue, it bounces over me and it sticks to you.
I'm just the mayor.
I mean, obviously, that's a pricey endeavor, that's a long street section, very tight, little right-of-way there, it'd be challenging to fit the sidewalk in. I think that's also a problem that Mr. Rigsby found with the initial design, is that there's not an abundance of space. But certainly it's needed. We've talked about the population and the residential uses there along Hillsborough and how those folks really depend on and could significantly benefit from the idea of a bicycle pedestrian way, non-motorized.
But I think when we did, excuse me for interrupting you, Mike, I think when we did the sidewalks, though, that was one of the ones that didn't get the hit.
Correct. It did not rise to the priorities of the board initially. We were in the top 10 list.
Yes.
But it didn't get to the top 4.
Yes.
Which the top 4 are the ones that we've been pursuing in the short.
I thought there were 5.
I think 4 is what we're looking at right now.
And I believe our engineer has met with the design team and they have a design for us.
Working on it for the top 4. Yes, we have that under contract with the on-call engineers.
So when is that going to be presented to us, by the way?
Oh.
Since somebody else opened the door, I'm jumping right in.
It's still going to be a couple months
It's
away.
been 5 years on these sidewalks. I want to know where we are.
Right, we're not ready. It's Summit Engineers that's working on that, and we've had an initial meeting with them on the direction that they're heading, and they're heading in a good direction, but they have not yet given us the date when they're ready to present the passport.
When was the last update you got from them?
It's probably just been about 2 weeks ago. We had a sit-down meeting with them about 2-3 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay.
It's stated here in the report, that based on preliminary finding, Bill offered the recommendation for each segment we need to choose between. After an informed discussion and making necessary decisions, Summit was instructed to proceed with their full design.
Right, so the initial meeting was about their preliminary findings.
Okay.
And we talked about, the north side of the road or the south side of the road, or bridge this gap this way, and the ideas of how we need to fill the gaps. If you all recall, the top 5 priorities were gaps. We have areas where we had existing segments and we needed to make that connection. So we've been through the preliminary with that. Like the monthly report indicates, we are planning on it, but I don't have a date for you. If Carl was sitting there, I'd ask him that. He's probably online right now listening, but,
Do you think you can get us an idea of a date for the final design when it'll be
Will do.
presented to us?
Will
I
do.
appreciate that.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve CZ 2020.
Here for Mr. Rigsby, it's up to you.
Yeah, if he'd like to say some stuff.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, I appreciate you taking this into consideration. This has been a long road to restore the building itself. We put a lot into it to get it to actually pass inspections. We're just into 1 year, a little over a year of getting a CO. So it's been a long path. So getting the building, be able to occupy it has been kind of the main focus. But I appreciate the consideration of extending it. We have been waiting for architectural or engineering designs, which I think we're close to having, presenting, and I actually talked to a contractor today that had come out a year ago to give us a price, and actually meeting with them on Friday to kind of get a time frame to move forward on this. So thank you for consideration. And open invitation. Anytime you'd like to stop by during the day to come by and see what we do, you're all welcome.
I'll take you up on that. All right, anything else we need to do before I do this motion? Okay, motion to approve CZ-2022-01 for a 1-year permit extension until August 1st, 2026, structured with milestones to be determined by the Planning, Zoning, and Subdivision Administrator.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kuczynski. Let me see here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Rigsby, thank you, and I really look forward to seeing some of your work in there. All right, let's see, we move down to new business, Zink House Brewery evidentiary public hearing. Let's see if I can put some of this stuff back in real quick.
So, I've been here 12 years. We've never done a special use permit at the Board of Commissioner level. This is the first time, so we're gonna take it slow, and I wanna explain it all to you as we go, and you're here to help. So, yes, ma'am?
Nothing, I thought we had a raise.
You're waving, how long? Quasi-judicial public hearing, it's an evidentiary public hearing, it's quasi-judicial action, it's different, it's not simple legislative, it's about court-type proceedings. But CDO requires a special use permit for this proposed use in the Main Street District. So the Main Street District does allow for beverage manufacturing, and in parentheses, brewery/distillery is included under beverage manufacturing. It's the only place in our ordinance where a brewery or distillery is mentioned, and again, it is allowed, but it just calls for this extra level of review. A special use permit is just that, it's special. You can do lots of things with the conditions of it. It doesn't, have to conform to any particular standard because the ordinance doesn't really establish any minimum standards, but it does establish these things called findings of fact. And that's really the crucial component of a special use permit. It allows you all, as the decision makers, to go through and make determination about these 6 important findings. The first, and I think most important, is about it not being detrimental or endangering the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood or the city. The second is about it complying with applicable regulations, state, federal, and local. The third talks about not substantially injuring the value of adjoining or abutting properties. That's important because certainly folks, who live nearby there don't want to have their property values injured. The fourth talks about how it must be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and conform to officially adopted plans. The fifth is about adequate water and sewer capacity, and that's one's kind of specific to Creedmoor. Of course, we know our relationship to water and sewer capacity. And then the sixth is how it will not cause undue traffic congestion, create traffic hazard, or generate traffic volumes that exceed capacity design. So the planning board undertook this action back at its, this was the June meeting of the planning board, and we talked about quite a bit of these specifics. Indeed, at that meeting, letters were sent to adjoining property owners, and folks were invited to come and speak either for or against the project. And in fact, these applicants even did a pre-application meeting several months before, where they sent out letters to a wide variety, a big cast of folks nearby, to see if anybody was violently against or interested in coming forward to oppose. None of those meetings generated a large amount of opposition or difficulty. Mostly people were just interested. I think a lot of folks are like, hey, when am I going to get the beer? And when's it going to be open? But then after that, there were some general concerns about parking, traffic, stormwater, noise, the normal things that we think about and talk about when we make decisions like this. So I'm going to stop there just for a minute because I want to note that it is a quasi-judicial position. I should be sworn in as a speaker because I am actually granting or providing evidence to you all through my testimony. And then we've also provided you a significant amount of evidence in your packets, including, application materials, support materials from the applicant, things that they've been giving us all through, including site plans and different kinds of narratives. So I want you all to know that all that constitutes the record in addition to what you're going to learn tonight from me and from the applicant when they get a chance to speak.
So, Mr. Mayor, I would suggest at this time, we have not only, Mike, but anyone else who's going to testify, which would include the applicant or any other witnesses that want to testify. I'd suggest that they all stand up or come up here to the front and be sworn in at the same time.
Okay. Do we need to
Yes.
basically state
have one up
that
here. Yeah.
we're opening this up?
We can, swear them in and then we can open up the hearing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I assume the clerk can do the swearing in?
I just don't know what form of swearing in we're doing.
Truth, the whole truth,
Is
and
that
nothing but.
what-
That's really all it comes down to. You guys want to touch it? Sure. We all touch it, we're good. Raise your right. Raise your right.
Should they say their name?
Yes, well, yeah.
Yeah, should we say your name and then
I'm Mike Frangos.
Mike Conover. Matthew Conover.
where, that everything I say is the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. And then, Mr. Mayor, before we proceed, I think we also want to go through board conflicts.
Sure.
So this is another kind of requirement when we have a quasi judicial hearing of this sort. And so, before we open the hearing, this is when we just give board members a chance to reveal any possible conflicts with this and withdraw if necessary. Now, here are what the conflicts could include. A member having a fixed opinion prior to hearing this matter that is not susceptible to change, an undisclosed ex parte communication about this project, a close business, familial, or associational relationship with one of the people here, or a financial interest in the outcome of this matter. And so, if anyone here fits one of those categories, and you should so note at this time, and the remaining members could, allow the person to go forward. Often what we see happen at this is maybe someone made a visit to the site, or they've been to the site, or whatever, and you just say, I was at the site, and usually council members, board members are like, that's fine, just disclose it. But does anyone fall into these categories? Any information or special knowledge you might have otherwise about the case that you'd like to reveal at this time?
Let me, Mr. Albright.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem. No. Mr. Kaczynski.
So buying beer and drinking fluently once they open, is that financial interest?
Hasn't happened yet.
Okay, then the answer is no.
Commissioner Way. No. And I have been down and toured the facility that they're doing, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay, all right, very good. So I think we open up the public hearing, and as Mike noted, your packet, the material in your packet, the presentation here, and his presentation, that's all part of the public record.
All right. This time I'll open for public hearing.
All right.
You should have known it was coming. All right. Mr. Frangos, we'll let you start.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna delve in a little bit here. I think I lost control, Barbara.
Sounds like a personal.
Yeah, now I'm back. Okay, I won't do theirs, that's gonna be their presentation. I just wanna skip through to some of these, like that one. Can you zoom out a little bit on that one? Yeah, there you go, that little spark out there. Okay, so this one's important because I want y'all to understand that when we consider a special use permit like this, we have to consider all phases. They're actually suggesting this project pursue in 3, maybe even 4 phases. So we, looking at it now in the big picture, need to consider the whole package. And that's why this map is relevant. There are 2 parcels that are owned by the Zink House LLC, right? And that's the owner entity for this project here, and it's there at the corner of Fleming and Elm, as well as the north side of Fleming is what used to be the old railroad right-of-way that connects Fleming up to Lake Road. And that is one of the important components related to the parking, because you can see through the sketch that there probably will be accommodation for off-street parking there. So I just want y'all to know that there are potentially 3, maybe 4 phases. One is just the microbrewery, the idea that inside the building, they will be brewing beer, alcoholic beverages, but they will be not changing the footprint of the building. It will only be about the brewery process inside. Phase two is the bar. The idea that a tasting room where they can accommodate the public, have folks in there to sample the product, enjoy the nightlife that this location will create. Phase three is the off-site parking to the north, and the idea that as this place booms, there'll be a need for folks to park off-site because there isn't enough room on-site. And then phase four potentially could include the public-private partnership, which may be on-street parking on Elm Street, as well as a sidewalk connection from Elm to Main, which I think would be great. We're talking sidewalks a lot tonight, but the idea that we're connecting this to our downtown district. We're getting an easily accessible route from Main Street on over and back. So after folks, might leave here, they could head to other establishments in town. So 4 phases, and those are outlined in your staff report. Is parking required is the next good question. Short answer is no. Main Street District does not require off-street parking for any use. But the reality is, and we all know, that there's going to be people that come here and they're going to need a place to park. And we don't want cars strewn all around the neighborhood. We don't want people parking half on the road and half in the ditch and just turn into a mess. So they realize that, they understand that. And that's why the special use permit is special, because you all have that authority to say, yes, even though the Main Street District doesn't require it, we all know parking is important. The question is when. That's why they have it slated for phase 3. The idea that as we proceed through this development proposal, phase 3 is when it's going to be needed. Let's put the parking in when the people come. They want to get phase 1 off the ground in the shortest order possible so they can solidify their brewery operation, consistently prepare products, and, prove that it works, I guess is the right way to go about it. So that's also included in your packet. Other problems in Creedmoor, we talk about sidewalks all the time, we talk about stormwater all the time. Certainly there's stormwater problems, we know there is water right now. Before Zinc House has even stepped on site, there is stormwater concerns on the south side, on the southwest corner of their property, and along the Seaboard Street intersection there as it runs east to west, just south, just off your page. But certainly these developers aren't responsible for that because they haven't done anything. The building footprint is the same. We just hope that we work toward the solution. The idea of stormwater mitigation is something that we hope to pursue as they proceed through their design. Are sidewalks required? The short answer is yes, we want sidewalks required, a lot for the same reasons that we talked about. When you improve a property, we want your frontage also to be improved. We want new development and expansions to follow our ordinance requirements, but in this case, because it's an existing commercial development, it's about that 50% investment. That if a property owner is making that 50% or greater investment, then more of the ordinance kicks in. Is a developer agreement required? The answer is no, but certainly could be included. Not part of the approval, but something that could happen later as we work through, like we talked about, potentially a partnership, maybe with some of that on-street parking and or sidewalk connectivity. So I'm not going to go through this item by item. Your staff report was included. They did give us some really nice pictures, great illustrations done by the architect for their vision on site. I'm not going into so much that, only because I know it's coming up. It's part of phase 2, and in the future, they want to deal with phase 1 right now. I'm going to stop there just for 1 second to say that we don't know necessarily that the decision will be finalized tonight because we don't have conditions that have been agreed to verbatim by both the applicant and the city. So we expect that the next meeting will come back with a formalized, written up findings of fact, conclusions of law, and conditions of the approval that would be, a more formal document where we will hopefully have the applicant's full consent. But right now, we don't have that because these terms are still a little bit, undefined. We didn't want to go all the way without you all knowing just how far you wanted us to go. So that's why we're working on it today. I'm gonna stop there.
Let me get questions for you before you move on. Commissioner Way, any questions for Mr. Frangos?
That's not this time.
Commissioner Kaczynski?
So, the parking on Elm Street, and if there's parking on Fleming, I don't think that's been determined yet. I don't think there is.
Right.
Is that part of phase one, or is that a different phase?
That's different phase. Phase one, they don't want any change to the building or grounds
All right.
on the outside.
So when we get to phase two,
Right.
will we set a time limit for the parking to be installed?
For part of phase two, yes. But one thing I would say is this decision needs to be able to stand alone on phase one alone.
Right, exactly. It's
So we might not ever get to phase two.
right. Don't tell me that. I want a bar.
I know that, I understand. But you all need to understand that they just want to build a brewery. They want to be able to brew beer at that location, that's great. The rest of this comes after that phase one.
Right.
So our decision can be structured.
Right.
That when they're ready for phase two, what we expect is a full, large site plan, an LSP approval, which is engineered with all the civil components, stormwater components, all of the things that we normally require would come as part of the phase two review, which would be back to this board, ultimately for your approval as phase two, as a large site plan.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
Yeah, so phase one gets approved, and before we go to phase two, we're presented with more documentation, better site plan. Do we need more water?
That's a maybe. Maybe they determine that in phase two.
At what point do you have to add bathrooms if you're gonna have people there?
Right. And certainly right now, non-residential allocation is available for them, but what they've told us at this point is they don't need it. There is an existing water connection, there is an existing bathroom and commode there on site. That's all. That's all that's needed.
So phase two never happens unless they come back when we approve that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Albright?
I have no question.
All right. Mr. Frangos?
I will sit. You want to do this?
We didn't want to spend all that time swearing you in if you aren't going to say anything.
Love to present stuff to excite y'all. Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
I'm Mike Conover, the owner of St. Cowles Winery and Brewery. Very excited about this project. Hopefully it does go through and get you your bar. We plan to have plenty of birds so you can have your.
We'll have to sit in space for
I
you.
have been to the mothership, so I know
Okay.
it is good.
And my name's Matthew Conar, architect. I specialize in student dev, actually old buildings and local businesses. They seem to all go together. So for the last 12, going on 13 years, I've been a part of a lot of small town renovations, but Raleigh, Durham, all the growth in the food and beverage industry. I've been lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So let's do this, if you don't mind, let's go through this sequence real quick. I think this will help everybody. If you guys have questions. Okay, that's true. Okay, and this is the arrows, right? Okay. So the phases, just to kind of clarify the phases, I'll spend just a little bit of time to make sure. I think you guys do understand the process. Yes, like the phases do stand alone in the sense that part of it is construction phasing, permitting phasing, and part of it is what the Creedmoor requires of us. So phase one is allowed with a special use permit. That kind of brings in us to disclose all the other things we want to do. Even though they're independent, they could function quote alone. Obviously, we'd like to do it all together. The phase also makes sense from a construction standpoint. Phase one, we are looking at using the building for its kind of similar purpose. So from a building code standpoint, as an architect, it's a no change of use. It's manufacturing now. I can submit it as manufacturing. Kind of gets that project going faster. Other parts of the project are changes of uses. That would just take longer. So phasing makes sense procedurally with Creedmoor, but also makes sense in permitting and just timetables and construction as well, just to kind of define that. So to kind of let you guys know, if you guys are familiar with the building, it's a U-shaped building. There's actually kind of 5 sections, the history of it. Phase 1 would be kind of just stack L. There is an existing cold room, which is kind of the dog leg on the left, to the west side. And then the south side also is a production zone currently, quite open. It's just natural and easy to put the brewery in there. You've got the cold zone, you've got open space, and that's a really good footprint. So very little modifications of the building, and definitely no change of footprint. So we don't want to overdevelop the site. That's definitely not our goal. So that goes into like the 6 points that Mike was mentioning about just being a good neighbor. We'll say it's something that way. Phase 2 will be more the north part of the building. So it's a very open side. The courtyard itself, and then kind of some of the functional purposes on the north to mitigate, and I say mitigate, but really just introduce the public, to welcome the public. So in that case, yes, we do want to do a food truck, which is allowed with permit. We are going to have some deliveries, and then yes, we are going to have the public. To answer the question on parking, we do propose parking on the north, the accessible parking, as close to the building as possible. Meet that requirement there. That's a code requirement, so we do want to put some parking there. But we are not required by right, but by accessibility, we kind of are. So this is the phase 2, and in a sense, we're going to call it at the same time or similar time. We want to do phase 3, which is the parking lot on the other side of the street. We just know that once we open for the public, it's kind of inherent that we want you guys to come. We want you guys to park, we want you guys to walk. Before this meeting, maybe one day, you guys can come over there, have fun, and then come over here to have a board meeting.
Yeah, that's what we need.
So we're very mindful of that, and Mike, I will say, like, has taken the initiative, and I was actually really happy the day he called me and said, hey, by the way, I bought the site on the other side, so we can do parking. I'm like, oh, that's so fantastic. Because that's just such a good way to be a neighbor instead of us trying to overdevelop and slam too much stuff on those properties. And once again, it's a really nice building. And then the third thing that we've been talking with Michael about is this public-private, what they call partnership. We don't have to per se an exact term for it, but on the Elm side, so the east side of the property, potentially looking at doing more parking there. Once again, we're not required to do parking, but there's a potential for us to, together with the city, not only meet a little bit of parking requirements to lessen the impact, possibly include some sidewalks in that phase. So once again, we're kind of deferring, I say deferring, but proposing that phase at a later time, because I think that's going to be a level of communication to have together. I'm going to go backwards just to present the building. I think I saw that our previous presentation was in here. So this is what we presented a month ago, I guess, to the planning committee. You guys know this is the building. Once again, we love the building. I absolutely love the building. This is one of those buildings I walked into was like, oh, this is incredible. You think of a mill building, and you think of it being, quote, run down, but the previous owner, which I haven't had the pleasure to meet, took insanely good care. For my expertise with old buildings, I've been in some moldy basements, I've been in some ugly old buildings that need a lot of work. This one is in very good shape. So this is what you see coming from Main Street, the long side of the building. You can kind of see some of the history, the different portions. These are the 3 portions. The portion all the way to the left would be in this first phase, and then kind of the L shape is beyond. That's kind of an aerial, so you guys can see the U shape of the building. This is a slightly earlier plan. This is the one we presented a month ago. So we've developed a little bit more towards the north and how we connect to the property on the other side of the street. A month ago, we were just starting that process. So this is all, I mean, we're constantly designing. It's a lot of fun. So once again, phase one, this is the main portion of that building that we're talking about. On the south side, you can kind of see, like, we've already stored some things there, just to keep them out of the weather. But you guys can see how the building is. It's just an open, beautiful building that is just right for brewery. This is just kind of small town, North Carolina.
And the floors in there are great, aren't they?
They are quite good, yes. Now, I mean, it's hardwood, the building is solid, the trusses are beautiful. Yeah, we have a structural engineer on the team. We might have to do a little bit of reinforcing, and definitely want to change some materials for production, to let's say, preserve slash, not tear up the building. So then this is from Fleming Street, where you guys can kind of see the U shape in the courtyard. Some of the building already has elevated walkways. Obviously, those are much more for factory slash industrial use. So you guys kind of can get a little bit of a hint of the courtyard, elevated courtyard that we're going for. Once again, we want to just enhance the existing building. So you can see, like, those walkways are just going to kind of extend, create an elevated platform area for people to engage the building. This is the main portion of the building, the most northern end. You can see beautiful character, absolutely beautiful character. This is the inside. This is that kind of wood that's been there long enough that it's got that rich, deep, gorgeous quality to it. You almost don't have to do anything to it. We are not going to propose, and obviously we've got a lot of design to do, but we want to keep this aesthetic. We really love the aesthetic of the building. So fundamentally right now, we're talking about cladding the building on the outside. So we'll get a little bit of a new skin, but we are not slamming a bunch of drywall on the inside. We really want this building and its history to be read, and like, I love when I hear people visit a building and tell stories of their family or somebody worked there, owned something, and have pride. That's the sense of community pride. That I'm not going to hide in the building. Some of the interesting features, we have a really cool electrical wall. We're going to keep that. There is a mezzanine. I mean, there's some really interesting features in here that are going to be a part of the design as we move forward. But once again, they're there to kind of hint at, like, some of the cool stuff you guys will see. We do want to keep some of the old equipment because, once again, it just tells the story of the building. So this is not a project where we're just trying to slam as many people. We really want it to be a community place that when people sit there, we trade the stories. We talk about the building. And I think that's it for the slide. So any questions that you guys have, Mike and I, from an operations standpoint, ownership, and I'll help with design as much as we move forward.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Good for you. Commissioner Kuczynski.
How long? I'm so sorry. I'm not an alcoholic. My name is Georgiana, and I'm not an alcoholic. How long before phase? Can you give us any idea? The people in this community want to know when they can go to this place and enjoy this place, and when's it going to open? When's it going to be ready? I don't know.
Yeah, so absolutely, I'll do my best. So one first is catch-22. We got to get through this process, right? So we got to get through this. I guess the issue at hand is for us to agree upon conditions on this phase one that we're very agreeable. I think they're reasonable, some of the proposals that we've discussed. So as soon as we can put those in writing, which it sounds like if we can do that even today, to be able to show that we're willing to meet them, sign them, and show drawings, depending on which phase that the condition approaches. I can't finalize a design for phase two, but for phase one, pretty much, from a site perspective. As soon as we meet on those conditions, so we'll get that hopefully approval soon with y'all. We're working on phase one currently. Phase one is, I would say, the intensity is structural. We are putting brewery equipment, that's heavy, pulls a lot of water. So yes, we're gonna have to be reinforcing some floors and just making sure the structure is acceptable. I would say we could submit for permit of phase one as soon as we agree on the special use permit. That's kind of our hope. So we've started that work with the structural engineer. You know, could it be done in a month? That's pretty aggressive, but I would say shortly after. Let's say a month after the special use permit is approved, we'd love to submit permits for phase one. And then permitting.
You gotta brew the beer first.
Right, so permitting, probably 2 months. Once again, don't hold me to that. Once again, it's gonna be a negotiation a little bit with the review agency. I'm gonna do my best to make that process as smooth. I do have a tendency, and once again, knock on wood, I don't wanna overpromise. I do have a tendency to try to get projects permitted in 6 weeks. First and second round. I don't like going into the third round. So I work hard on my designs.
Thanks.
So with that the case, then I would turn it over to Mike, construction.
I would just guesstimate, if once we get that final, okay, 3 months for phase one, probably not a year though. It depends what the engineer comes back on what we have to do.
I thought a year, I just wanted.
That'd be my guess.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you can come visit us in Durham.
And I've not been, so I definitely need to go.
I will take you. Yeah, and then from the phase two standpoint, as soon as phase one is submitted for review, I mean, we'll probably be working on phase two concurrently because they are so integrated. But the focus will change from, let's say, so much structure to a little bit more plumbing, mechanical, a lot more architectural to, you know, meet the public, plus the courtyard design. I would love to say we can submit phase two by the end of the year. Yeah, and of course, all of that, there's a lot of.
That's all contingent on everything goes smoothly right along.
Correct. I would describe design as playing kind of like Mario Kart, and you kind of gotta get to the checkpoint.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's important to pick up a few things along the way and good agreements, so that the next phase is a little more efficient. So it's not about just hitting the checkpoint as fast as possible, like it's about getting a lot of foundations set.
All right, thank you.
Which is what we're doing.
Okay.
Commissioner Albright.
I love that you had mentioned a couple of times that you want to be a good neighbor, and you're making yourselves neighbors to us already. So I love that part, and I'm super excited because I know a lot of people here in Creedmoor leave and go to other places. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm excited for us to have something that's just ours. You know, that people are going to say, okay, yeah, I go to the mothership out in Durham, but there's this really great extension of that in Creedmoor, and people are going to come here, and people are going to, you know, come through on a weekend eventually sometime, and there'll be a motorcycle ride where they're, you know, doing a charity ride, and they're going to stop here and enjoy your, you know, your good things that you have to bring to us. So that's my exciting feature. So I'm very glad that you are here. So.
Commissioner Way.
I'm gonna just jump on the bandwagon and say that, I am not an alcoholic. The idea of this being a neighborhood gathering place and something like Creedmoor is something that we have needed for a long time. The idea has been presented before. Unfortunately, it never came to fruition. However, you saw a vision, you saw the property, you purchased the property, here you are today. Kudos. Congratulations for you taking this step. I can honestly say that your location on Highway 98, you don't meet a stranger when you go there. It's a great place to go. It is an outstanding place to catch up with old friends and just have a good time. And that's what I envision something here. I've always had the mantra of you want to have some place where you live, can work, and play all in the same location. I think that's a big statement for us here in Creedmoor, is to have something in our Main Street district, especially sidewalks and the parking that you're going to have in your later phases. But just for you to pick our little town to make your microbrewery and distillery for your first phase, that already speaks volumes, because that's a business sense. You've already made a business decision to invest in us. So I hope that we can return the favor and invest in you and in turn have that partnership that we're looking for to bring people and have a thriving downtown that some of our neighbors have had that we've missed out on.
Yep.
So, that's all I had.
A new location for Cheers where everybody knows your name. How many employees do you think you will use through all three phases, not just the initial?
Oh, you can ask Bob on a future phase, but phase one was just three people.
Doing the brewing.
It depends on the business model. I mean, Mike and I are gonna chat about this, but there is a food truck, so you got a couple people there potentially coming, with, Mike Lee, the owner of the food truck himself. You'll have definitely some bartenders, several runners, you're gonna have potentially the brewers, but those might be different hours of operation. Brewery during the week, obviously the bar more open on the weekends, but I could usually say at least 15, but that's also, could be more because you're gonna have a rotating staff probably too. Correct. So, yeah, exactly. So the question is how many you have to building at one time compared to how many employees you have total.
And I'm assuming you'll try to hire local, if at all possible. Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that out there. And if you ever have a spot for a pharmacist, please let me know. Because I'm right there with you.
The design team is all local, so we've already got a local team started,
All right, Mike, what do we do now as far as what are you looking for from us?
So the next step would be, I'm sensing the warm fuzzy. I don't think anybody here is necessarily interested in denial, so the findings are important. If you want them to vote on them individually, or you feel they could go through the 6.
Has everybody looked over the...
Just a real quick question, do you feel comfortable with the conditions?
No.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, we were gonna try to get to more specific wording in the condition packet. It's not included here right now for signature. I think it needs to be streamlined just a little bit so we could be clear in the expectations, but I was just gonna go over a few points of the conditions that we have discussed. Hours of operation.
What page?
I'm on now page 95 of your agenda packet. So phase 1 conditions at the bottom of page 95, hours of use. These were as suggested by the applicant. Our noise ordinance does extend the hours a little bit further, but I think it's important to say that hours of operation shall be limited from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. So they have no intention of going till the wee hours of the morning. This is mostly an evening and nighttime thing. Parking is identifying truck loading and unloading location on site, and on-site parking for the 3 employees that are intended to be the brewers as part of phase 1. Phase 1 then would provide a light-duty trash corral, which is just essentially a place where you can put some trash, because there isn't one right now, but of course no exterior storage of goods, raw materials, or any process components. And the production, they said 5,000 barrels is way more than they ever expect, but I said, we have never met Commissioner Kaczynski drinking in Creedmoor. So 5,000 barrels was the limit that we put up on top. No, I'm joking, I'm sorry about that.
Commissioner Albright.
So, your trash and your storage, is that like the same garbage can that we would normally have, or is there something else for your meal and stuff like that for the beer?
Yeah.
I don't wanna get too technical on you, that's.
Do you mind if I move forward? So we did, I believe, we did submit a phase 1 site plan.
Yep.
Here, that's the existing plan. This is what we're proposing right now, knowing that, so we're showing the 3 employees, just go back on all the conditions that we just talked about. There is a lot of gravel existing on site. There is no change to site by definition, but we are proposing certain things and we're just utilizing the site. So we are proposing three employee parking spaces are shown on the north end of the building, which is kind of typical, actually where I park all the time when I survey the building. We are showing the potential we're showing the extreme situation of a large truck. We don't foresee that, but we're just showing that to show that it could accommodate it. There is an existing overhead door kind of inside the U, so if there is a large delivery truck, it would be inside the U. It would not create a nuisance visually. To the right of that would be what we're going to call a temporary trash situation. Whether that's probably a dumpster right now with a temporary enclosure. Just knowing that phase one is that we're hoping to be temporary, and we're going to do trash enclosures for phase two that are more permanent. So once again, that's going to be inside the use so that it's not a visual nuisance to the neighborhood.
And no storage or anything outside.
And no storage or anything outside. So those are the three things we've identified and showed as employee parking, delivery, and the trash enclosure.
So then phase two, which is the next step, which is more like we talked about, the large site plan presentation, which includes the engineering, that gets into things like lighting and having a lighting plan that will not direct any lighting off-site except for security, identifies some signage locations, says signage shall not be internally illuminated. Again, we're trying to limit negative impacts on the building. Phase two does call for the installation of a sound barrier along that western property boundary, which is also a zoning boundary between the commercial and the residential use, so it's a fence and or landscaping on the west side that would, try to keep some of that noise in. And then particularly this one about no exterior sound amplification system would be allowed. So we're not talking about a PA and blasting rock across the neighborhood at 3 in the morning. Parking, more specifically regarding the ADA accessible spots and the spots for the delivery food truck. Like they said, accessibility is crucial to building code, right? This is where we're kind of bridging the gap between building code and zoning code. ADA accessibility is a building code requirement, so that's why they want to be sure and meet that on-site closest to the building. But then phase two does talk a little bit more about the sidewalk, park strip, crosswalks, the public rights-of-way, improvements that could be made, on site, again, along the frontage of the property. And then it talks a little bit more about erosion control and addressing the stormwater problems that are already there on site. Like I alluded to earlier, there are stormwater problems there right now. Trash would be a little bit more heavy duty, like you said, with maybe an enclosure, potentially a dumpster, something that would handle larger volumes when the public is allowed in. Then miscellaneous, just some of the uses that the planning board had talked about were special events. We have ordinance requirements for special events that would attract more than 100 persons at any one time, and it talks about, of course, having things like additional security, planned parking, trash cleanup, other things. So we're imagining, an open house, or even just a grand opening event would be a special event. Potentially, we would close streets. We would do what we could do to accommodate the kind of crowd that maybe we would expect at that time. Food trucks was an important component. I think everybody wants that accessibility to food, but they're not producing that food on site. Food trucks will come and bring the food. This is not about a restaurant type of use. And this is where we talked about the calculation for the valuation of the property regarding the investment, and the idea that if that investment threshold is crossed, then some of these other phase three requirements would come into play, and those are specifically more about the public right-of-way, the crosswalk, cross Fleming, curb cuts, potentially driveway improvements, things that, they need to make the site a little bit more urban style, including pavement on the parking. And that's it. We'll go on to more, I think, regarding the details of the engineering when we get to that point. We're certainly not at that point And just like I said, this document is not exactly just ready for approval, so I wanted to go over these conditions with you all, certainly add other items that you want us to address or address fully in this list, but I plan to come back to you with just a little bit more streamlined version of this and something that's very clear cut. So I think today, maybe if you wanted to kind of act on phase one, the idea that phase one was simply the brewery use and kind of give them the thumbs up, and then we could come back and solidify phases 2, 3, 4 with more of these conditions spelled out next meeting.
Are you asking them to vote tonight and vote next meeting, or are you asking them to
Vote
give?
tonight on the findings and then vote next meeting on the conditions. You don't think so? I see you made a frowny face.
Well, I mean, just the nature of the quasi judicial hearing is such that it seems what's typically done is to continue this until the next meeting and vote on all of it then. Okay? And I understand what you're saying is, it sounds like the conditions you want to get more clearly written up are the phase 2 and 3 rather than the phase 1. I don't know, Mr. Mayor,
So, from what I understand, then table this until the next meeting?
That would be my suggestion, to keep the public hearing open until the next meeting, because what's going to happen is you're going to kind of introduce new evidence, like of the finality of those conditions. So you want that to be part of your record at the next meeting, and then you would vote on it at the next meeting.
And by tabling it, we could keep the legal part of it open.
The public hearing remains open between now and the next meeting, and then just a word of caution to all of you all, the only testimony you're allowed to consider is what's in this room. You know, like you can't go run around and talk to people about it or whatever, and say what they said or whatever, or consider their opinion. All of the testimony in this room, you have to consider, it's called competent material and substantial evidence, and it certainly has been presented and it's being presented. It just seems like you need to kind of finalize the details of those conditions.
What I want to do is try to assure the applicants that they can move forward in a positive fashion, right? We haven't identified any fatal flaws. We haven't put up any significant roadblocks that just can't be handled. I want them to know that this board is supportive of the approval and that we will formalize it at the next meeting.
I think that's pretty well. I can't speak for the board, but my understanding would be we basically hit the decision that we want to have. We just aren't quite ready to sign on the dotted line and say, yes, we will. But I think generally from the discussion we had, some people a little more serious than others, that we would be willing to go through this. Commissioner Kuczynski, did you have a comment?
So, this is for our attorney. So would we make a motion that they could go forward and draft the conditions as presented?
Well, I think that's what's going to happen anyway. I think that's what I'm hearing from staff, and I know the applicant, I think, has said that they're certainly open to all of the conditions. There's a few that need to be tweaked out and kind of finalized, right?
Yeah, I guess kind of a question, procedural question / board question. I guess from our perspective, so we've been working with Michael and Dallas, and obviously Mike has been on the design side with me to basically, move forward on phase 1. As you can see, we've got that already on a civil engineer's drawing. Phase 2 is conceptual, a little catch-22 based on the conditions. So what we've been trying to do is, as we've been identifying potential conditions, we've been showing conceptual plans that meet those conditions. So the question is, I guess, to define and not be given more conditions, or let's just say to clarify conditions to the point where exactly we can move forward. So if there's any other conditions, to be notified of those so we can in good faith come back and say, hey, here's how we want to meet any other conditions. I think we've done a draft. And so the question of the board is, if there are any other conditions, present those to us so that we can show confidence in the next drawings if needed.
Yeah, I think the point is you want to come back to the next meeting and say, here's the conditions you've asked for and we've agreed on. We all agree on them. You sign off on them and you'll vote in favor of it. So it shouldn't be a lengthy procedure at the next meeting.
Correct.
This is the time to add on any more conditions or to discuss any of the conditions that Mike has proposed.
And if delaying this a month, which would be not really a month, it'd be, about 3 weeks? Because it'd be first part of August before we met again.
August 5th.
Yeah. If you need it sooner than that, Mike put his thing together, we can always call a meeting.
I mean, that's fantastic for us. So exactly, like from my perspective, we've been working on the conditions and we could go through in detail if needed to show that the conceptual plans we've got addresses each one of these, or if there's a procedural or operational one, and Mike agrees to the hours of operation. So once again, we're just wanting to say, you guys have drafted these conditions, we agree to them, we agree to the language, we have drawings to show that our process is going in that direction to meet the conditions, and therefore, we're, at that point, I guess, can agree.
So what I haven't done, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Before we go anywhere, Commissioner Way had a question.
I think she wants to finish first.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is to not stall him any further. You guys have worked together on these conditions. We could say that we approve these conditions. And, if you presented them all to us, I don't think there's going to be any more. So that's what I'm thinking is so that we can allow them to do what they need to do. We could tell you to go ahead and draft with these conditions as presented so that we don't stall this anymore. That's the point I'm making.
Right, the point that I wanted to bring out is up till now, this has been a staff level exercise, right? This has been Dallas and I working with the applicant. We haven't had any input from the elected officials, so this is your first opportunity for input. If somebody came to me with, we need this and the other, then we'd have to consider these things, take it back and try to formalize them into our agreement. If you all feel comfortable on what's been presented tonight and the conditions as I've kind of spoken them, what I intend to do is simply formalize them in a written.
So you're not planning there's no other conditions you feel necessary?
I can't foresee any. That's why I'm opening the door to you all, if there are any that you might want to choose to include. Paint the building green, or do something different that you might want.
Please don't paint the building green.
That's why we only agree. So whatever y'all want, if there was something more, now would be the time. If there isn't anything more, maybe Commissioner Kaczynski is appropriate. We could close the public hearing, approve the conditions, and simply say, bring back the formal write-up.
Commissioner Way. Let me.
It's okay. We're all enthusiastic about this project.
Wait, if I may?
Yes, ma'am. I was getting ready to comment for you anyway.
I don't think you can bring it back. I think what it is you all would be approving it tonight, those conditions that are in your memo. And I know they're not written as neatly as you would like.
They're not signed.
And they're not signed yet. There's a signature line, correct?
No, they're not signed.
Right. So, is that what you were going to say?
Madam City Attorney, my question would be, is basically how he's discussed it tonight. If we close our public hearing and vote on the procedure to be worked out by our CDO office as presented.
Well, technically, you close the public hearing, if you vote on it, you're voting on the precise conditions. So
There'll be no changes.
You can't change them, and they have to be like what was presented tonight. I know it seems silly, but the words matter. Words matter.
Absolutely.
And you want it needs to be memorialized as part of your special use permit you're issuing. So, not you, but down the road, what if some arguments, and it's like, well, this is exactly what we agreed to that night in writing. So that's the reason that you want to make sure it's really clear that both parties have agreed to and signed off on all of those specific conditions that are in that.
Would you be all right to wait till August 5th? Would that be an issue for y'all?
I personally don't see an issue with that, because knowing where phase one is, like, we'll
continue on it.
This is, I'm sorry, this is only for phase one, correct?
Right.
What we're gonna vote on.
You're voting on conditions for phase one and also the ones for phase two and three that Mike agreed to. Now, those will come back to you, the site plans will come back to you for those.
I just want to make sure we've got all our i's dotted and our t's crossed before we do something we can't go back on.
I wanted to open it up to discussion. I think we've had good discussion. I don't think anybody's brought up anything bad, but I do want to formalize the wording and make sure that you all are 100% comfortable, and they are 100% comfortable exactly with what we write up. This is a great memo, but it needs to be streamlined. It needs to be put in just the condition format. This is a lot of question and answer, a lot of superfluous information that isn't relevant to the approval. So I want to give you a document that is specific to the approval. And it's probably best not to vote.
And also, Mr. Mayor, you want to specifically identify the next meeting that this will be continued to. So if it is going to be the next regular meeting, then you say that, but if you want to have a special meeting, you identify a date right now and you say when that is.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, would you all be okay? If you need us to do a special meeting, this is important to us, as I know it is to y'all. So if we have to, or I guess me, if I have to call a special meeting in order to get this approved in a timeline that is most beneficial for you, I will, but if you can wait till August 5th, that way we can take care of everything then. He'll have time to put it all down like it's supposed to be. We'll still have our hearing going on in case something else does pop up. It just seems like the best thing to do now, and the recommendation from the mayor would be to table this until our August 5th meeting so everything else can get done.
Continue it.
Yeah, I think we're absolutely agreeable to that. I think we've done a lot of work on, like, I think you said it best at a staff level. To present it to you guys, to make it efficient for you guys to review and take exactly a reasonable amount of time to take a look at it, feel comfortable with it, and if there's any other things that you guys would like to, let's say, add, then that'll give us a little bit of time to incorporate those, address those. But yeah, we want to be respectful of your thoughts and not just rush the process.
Right. I'll try to put it together in a week, and we'll start circulating it via email, make sure everybody's okay with the wording, both parties, all clear, and then hopefully just come down, maybe it can be consent, no, it can't be consent.
It can't be consent, but it could still be quick.
It can still be quick. The next one on the 5th. That's when our next scheduled meeting is August the 5th. It's Tuesday coming up.
All right, any more questions down this way?
No, sir, I was just gonna make a motion.
I got one over here.
Okay.
Any questions down this way? All right, Mayor Pro Tem, you were going to make the motion. We have a motion on the floor to table until August 5th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. If I don't see y'all at the Zink House over the weekend, I will see you on August 5th.
Don't talk about this when you're
Right, oh yeah. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go down here to, we'll give them a chance to get out the door.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, can we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Before you get up, stretch time.
One of them kept
Hey, wait a minute. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the Zink House. Tell them not only that you're a farmer, but you probably can make a mean grilled chicken. Or orangeade or lemonade. I have made many of those in my day.
They get jumped up for that.
No, they're eating birds. Like, the came out.
Are you making a complaint about anybody eating your birds? Oh, they're terrible. Keith King and people in Pine Valley think somebody's smoking dope down there. They smell that. I said, no. I went to Carolina for 7 years. I know what dope is. Y'all ready? Ready? They're gonna be ready. All right, if everybody will calm down, take a seat, we're ready to continue. We'll move to 10B, Mavis Tire Site Plan. Mr. Dallas, I believe you're up.
Mr. Mayor, can we say something about, here's little extra pages that you have in the back about your considerations on what the, like, considerations and things. They're very useful. Thank you for those.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
All right, so, this one should be quick and easy, because I got the new guy giving it to you. So, I'm gonna try to go through this as quickly as possible. My wife has already texted me twice. I'm gonna see if I can get this presentation here. All right. So, thank you so much for the opportunity to present. This is the large site plan for Mavis Tire and Brake. This should be considerably easier than the one you just did. As you all know, there are 3 types of approvals. There's a legislative approval, there is the quasi-judicial, which is what we just did, and this is an administrative approval. Administrative approvals are basically check all the boxes. So we have a code, we have an ordinance, the applicant brings in their application, and we gotta make sure that their application checks all the boxes of the ordinance. And so I'll be walking you through that process tonight. Trying to see if Tyler is right here. Tyler Horn is from Bowler Engineering, so if you have questions for the applicant, he is the representative here tonight. And I'll give him an opportunity at the end of my presentation if you have any questions for Tyler. Going to the next page. All right, so the Mavis Tire, this is the vicinity map. It's on North Carolina 56, the commercial corridor. This is going to be a commercial building, so it's appropriate zoning use. There is, you can see in front of it, there's Highway 56 running there. There's a private drive on the left, and this is a greenfield site. There's no current construction. It will be new construction for this project. The street view here, we're at 2,179 NC Highway 56. This is a 1.642 acre site. It is the NC 56 commercial zone, and this is an out parcel of the Creedmoor Commons. So common landmarks you would know, this is the Food Lion, the fast-paced urgent care was built on the sister parcel on the other side, and then across that private drive, you're gonna see the Auto Bright. So just to kind of let you know where you're at. Come on, let's flip it. Where should I say? All right, I can see. There we go, all right. So here's the existing conditions. As you can see, there is some topography, and if you've seen the site, there are elevation changes. Also, in that bottom corner there, we have part of the Robinson Creek Basin. There's actually a dry riverbed, so it's not active, it's a dry one. So there are some stormwater issues with the site that we had to overcome. We've worked well with the applicant, and our city stormwater consultant on this has been Stimmel. Done a lot of work, and we're very happy with the progress we've made on that. Here is the site plan. I would draw your attention to a couple of elements. First is the building. This is an approximately 7,000 square foot building. There are 8 bays for which they will be doing their work for tire and brake. There is not a sand, oil, water separator because they're not going to be doing oil changes, so we don't even have to worry about that kind of stuff. There is, you'll see on the big oval there is the SCM, that's for the stormwater capture. So that'll be very similar to the one at fast-paced urgent care. So it'll have water in it. It's designed to have water in it. There'll be lily pads on top. Those plants pull out all of the nutrients that were not allowed to go into Falls Lake. And so then if it overtops, that will go into a second diversion channel, and it's all been engineered out to the nth degree. And also because the water will flow there should be no mosquitoes, just FYI. They're gonna provide parking, they're gonna provide lighting, and they're gonna provide landscaping. So, that is the site plan. Like I said, I'm moving fast. All right, this is our landscape plan. They've given us ample landscaping on this plan. We're very happy with it. We have shaded parking, there are buffer plantings around the site, and we also got a number of street trees. So, quite a bit will be added, because right now it's just grass. So there's gonna be a lot more plantings once this is done, even after they add all the pavement. Here's the elevations. So, Mavis Tire is a rapidly expanding regional business. They have built dozens of sites within the Triangle in the past few years. They're nice buildings. They're well-designed, use great materials, glass, metal, brick, stone. I myself had the opportunity, I visited 4 of their sites, 2 in North Raleigh, 1 in Wake Forest, 1 in Lewisburg. All of them were nice buildings, well-maintained, and I think they're gonna bring a similar product to that here in Creedmoor. With this site, because of the elevation, there was some concern about visibility from the road, but I think Boulder's done a really good job of addressing the visibility concerns and dealing with topography, so that you'll have excellent sight lines. I think the only issue we had in design was they wanted a big sign, and our ordinance requires a smaller sign, and they have accommodated that. However, I did go to their North Raleigh building that has a sign similar to the one they'll have here. It's not gonna matter. It's gonna look really nice. It'll be fine. It'll be visible from the road. There's gonna be other signage they have, like a monument sign, so I think it's gonna work out very well for us. I think we're gonna have a really nice project here. Finally, considerations. So our 2040 plan does require us to consider these various elements. I'm gonna go ahead and direct you to economic development. I think this is gonna be positive impacts for the city. Jobs, tax revenues for the city, services available to the community, and it's gonna further activate the Creedmoor Commons, that plaza with Food Lion and the Fast-Paced Virgin and all the rest, which was the original intention when that project was first approved. So we're gonna be continuing the design as it was designed to, build onto that plaza. The other impacts we have, land use, stormwater, transportation, housing, downtown, parks and open space, all of the impacts are either negligible or non-existent. It's just not gonna impact it. So basically for us, specifically because this is already at a slot that was set up for this, are just positive. It's just positive impacts for the city. Letters were sent to all the neighbors. We did not get any negative responses. We had 1 public comment at the planning board hearing, where someone had asked, why in this space are we having another auto use in the city instead of something else? And the answer is, the applicant wants to build this, and that is their right. That's the answer. They get to build what they want to build as long as they check the boxes, and they do. The planning board did recommend approval of the project. Staff is recommending approval. And the motion we would like to see is a motion to approve LSP 2025-01, Mavis Tire, and to assign 250 gallons per day of utility allocation. That concludes my presentation. Thanks so much. I'll take any questions you have.
First question, really the only question I have was with Robertson Creek, you mentioned stormwater.
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming this isn't gonna have anything to do, but bear with me because I'm still gonna ask the question. Any stormwater drainage or anything from this site is not going to have, because Robertson Creek is, that nature area is kind of right behind this.
So it's not on the creek, it's part of the basin, so it's part of the drainage area, and there is a dry bed, so that is there, but there's nothing that flows.
It's not gonna make the nature trail any more soggy than it already is.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Commissioner Albright, any questions?
No, sir. No, sir. They do have a new Mavis Tire up in Oxford.
Yes, they do.
And it's a very nice building.
They are.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? Commissioner Kuczynski, any questions?
No question.
Mr. Way, any questions?
No, sir. Just a motion to approve when you're ready.
I'm ready, go ahead.
I I have a motion to approve LSP 2025-01 and assign 250 gallons per day in utility allocation to the project.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All that are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, we move now to
This guy might be upset, he didn't even have to present anything.
He didn't want to do it last week.
If he'd like to get up and say a few words. Would you like to get up and say a few words while you're here?
We didn't want you to make the trip all the way up.
He's been to 2 meetings now and hasn't said a word.
I'll give the same little spiel I gave last time. Board, thank you very much for your time this evening. I always appreciate appearing in front of you all. Just to, I've heard you all speak and the planning board speak very highly about Mavis. Just give a little bit more background on them and how they operate. They kind of understand that they're an undesirable use that's trying to, come into communities. And so that's why they work as hard as they do to maintain clean facilities. Some of the things they offer is, not doing work outside, not storing junk cars on the properties. One thing we've noticed, especially in smaller communities like yourself, is they do offer weekend inspections, which has been, very helpful for a lot of the residents that can't always get out between the hours of 8 and 5 during the week. This particular site, as Dallas was saying, is we did have a little bit of a stormwater issue that we were more than happy to overcome to meet the requirements of the Falls Lake Basin. Unfortunately, some of the infrastructure on that property is not the most well-maintained, and it was out of my control to go ahead and remediate that, but we did want to do as best we can, by and for the city itself to make sure that we're meeting all of those local and state requirements to make sure that, like we said, as they come into the community, that they're upholding the standards that are already set. I do believe one of the questions that got brought up last time was just, what happens if the business isn't successful, because there are already so many auto businesses in the area. And one thing they do is how they construct their buildings is it's a single slab, there's no internal columns, and so, if for whatever reason this business goes dark in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it can get stripped out and any, reasonable use can come in, or several uses, given that it's a 7,000 square foot building. So, regardless of if they're successful or not, there will be that lasting product that, ideally community will be able to use, whether it's with Mavis Tire or with some other user, at any point in the future. So, I think that's most of the spiel I gave last time. If there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer it. Mavis is always happy to answer questions about their operations, so if you're able to get my contact from Mike or Dallas, I'd be happy to get you all in touch with any of the individuals that can help answer anything further. But thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate the approval, and, apology that this is the second time now I've had to be the buzzkill following the brew house, so.
Does anybody have any questions?
How fast can we get it?
They go pretty fast. Generally, once we start construction, which we're still waiting a PDQ permit for erosion control, but they generally open for business within 5 to 6 months after they break ground. So it goes up pretty quick.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, 10C, Police Department City Hall renovation site plan. Mr. Frangos.
All right, so I'm gonna take the first half of this, which is about just the large site plan approval, and then we do have our little diversified team who's here, in force today, and they're gonna talk about the second, part of that. But for mine, it's very straightforward, it's the kind of things that you've already seen. Again, I'm not connected, Barb.
Hold on, I gotta hold.
Oh, you wanna get me on camera?
Wait.
Keep going.
You're on. Now you can.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through the memo. Here's the site plan. You've all seen the site plan. Detached building of the police department, at the corner of Masonic and Elm, separated by a parking lot between the existing city hall. All of the site accessories and things are up there. There's curb, gutter, sidewalk, street trees, off-street parking, generator pad location, trash, location, everything is accommodated on this site. I do want to point out the one specific point for new public parking is in the top middle of this picture here, between the two buildings where the ADA accessible spots are, and the red line there indicates the ramp that accommodates the change in elevation from the slightly higher parking stalls down the hill to get all users to the front door of the PD's new building there via the red. A little bit more detail on the utility component here. Obviously, there will be a new water and wastewater connection because this is a new building. There is stormwater accommodation, but this site does not require a stormwater control measure because we have not increased the impervious surface area from what exists now. One of the biggest changes to this site, one of the things that we had talked about during our site plan review was the conduit connection between the existing City Hall and the new PD building. Obviously, we're all going to be on the same network. We want to be included together, so there is a need for a direct wire connection, so there is a conduit that will connect both the buildings. Excessive, I would say excessive, adequate landscaping added to the site throughout the side, street trees, et cetera. Parking lot provides shade as much as possible to the paved areas, and trying to make it as attractive as possible. Staff reports included in there. We go through the site. One coming up, you'll see there's going to be a recombination plat that brings these, it's about 6 or so parcels together and unifies it into one. That's going to come at a later time through CUNITY. This is about the impervious surface area, so this is what exists compared to what we're putting in. So again, we're not increasing the impervious. This is the elevation. We have the metal roof, like we've talked about, brick sod on the new PD building, matching the existing City Hall. And then, of course, the City Hall building is going to be renovated for this side to accommodate CDO, and then some improvements throughout the rest of the building. This is Dallas' now famous consideration slide, which we are going to use for every presentation from now on.
It helps so much.
It helps so much. Okay.
I realize you just made sure that you make me go on the PowerPoint.
Dallas will be doing all these.
It's helpful. So, Mike, why haven't you ever done it?
I didn't know it. I took him. New guy, new knowledge, new information.
Don't take a hold of it.
It's really, again, the land use considerations, it's consistent with the existing zoning. This is clearly a downtown use. I think we're doing a good thing by keeping the police department downtown. I think that's super helpful for our citizens to know where they need to go, and of course, this will be headquarters, always. Certainly, there could be substations in the future, and there could be other buildings that could accommodate different shifts or different officers at different locations later on. But right now, we are building the new police department headquarters, which is downtown on San Francisco. Stormwater impacts are going to be appropriately mitigated. There aren't many transportation impacts, certainly no housing impacts. Economic development is positive. Again, construction jobs created, but also improved city services to service our public. Big for downtown, use downtown, keep people coming downtown, keep downtown active and beautiful, improvements to the city streets and streetscapes. Really no parks or open space impact. There wasn't parks there before, and there won't be in the future. This slide is erroneous. The actual number for gallons per day assigned is 600 gallons per day, and that does accommodate our current police force with room for expansion and future growth at that site. So potentially, this building could accommodate up to 46 officers on 2 shifts, 23 per shift. So that needs 600 gallons per day of utility allocation. So as far as the large site plan approval, we are comfortable where we are right now with this design. The next step will be the actual release of the building to bid. But if we can get the zoning out of the way, we'll be able to get onto those next spots. Questions I can answer from anybody?
Commissioner Kuczynski.
Thank you, Mike, I appreciate it. Now, the 600 gallons per day, that's coming out of our commercial?
Non-residential.
Non-residential.
And there is room.
Where are we on that? Can you tell me?
We have over 2,500 gallons that still remain.
After all this allocation?
After both Mavis and this allocation, we still have over 2,000 gallons.
And the brewery didn't change, so?
Brewery didn't change as of right now.
Okay.
So we're in very good shape. We have that reserve and we're using it.
So we're not putting a pond out here, are we?
No, no pond.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Way.
No question.
Commissioner Albright.
No questions, sir.
All right, you need a motion for this part.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve LSP 2025-02 and assign 600 gallons per day of utility allocation. Motion's made by Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Mike, as always, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, I think we're 10D.
Right, and I'm gonna turn it over to our team with Little Diversified Architecture. Will, are you gonna need a first speaker or Gael? Okay, Will Stewart, you gonna throw it together? Yeah. All right, it's all yours. And you can press the arrow button to finish your slide.
Perfect. We've done the rodeo before. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Good to see you all again. It's not snowing or some adverse weather event. But it sounds like we have a plan now for that, so we're in good shape. So.
True.
This presentation is relatively simple. It's information you all have seen many times, just fully incorporated in a position where we are asking tonight for approval to go to bid for this project. And will be designed by our team and then bid publicly for contractor support to build the project. Tonight we're going to look at a couple things. Right now, you just saw the site plan, so that's relatively straightforward. Nothing has changed with that. You guys just made a motion to approve for that, so we can touch briefly on that. Really going to look at floor plans for the police department building and renderings, a city hall, building renovations floor plan. We're going to review the construction, the latest, most up-to-date construction cost estimate. We'll look at a few of the schedule milestones as we close out, and then we'll look for approval to bid from you all. So this evening, really quickly, again, I think Mike Ramos did a very good job of describing where we are with the site plan, all of the different elements that we've had to incorporate. Jael is here with me tonight from Community, so if there should be any questions related to that, she's also here in support of this. Again, I don't know if I need to elaborate on that, but if there are questions, I can return to this as Mike covered along with that. Really quickly in review where we are right now before we go to bid. These are final drawings, with color, but these are final drawings for the new police department building. This building has relatively unchanged really floor plan or footprint from what we've seen before. Now the only difference here is we've updated it for bid and ready for construction documents to bid. So just kind of showing you a recap of where we've been to accommodate the new police department.
That's good. That's not been a compliment.
This is the concept. Better than a blank check. Blank page. Something happened there. I will say, this page is...
It's the number changed that bad that it went off the page.
Yeah. Here it is. Sorry, it just took a minute to load because of the...
the color, maybe.
That's right, and I think it's because of the image size and quality, so I apologize for that. But again, looking at two renderings, this one being from the Elm and Masonic corner of the new police department building. As Mike mentioned, the material qualities, some of the detailing, especially the metal roof, all in conjunction with City Hall, are in an effort to match City Hall, and some of the language that's been created here, as we talked about in several presentations. So even the window opening size, scale, and some of the brickwork detailing is a match from this building. So not a lot of things that you see that would be out of character or out of place for what's been created and established with City Hall here as well. Second rendering here that we're looking at is standing on Masonic, arriving from Main Street going west, looking at the police department building in the distance there in its entry, as well as the City Hall replacement building here on the left side. As you see, again, similar material palette, similar roof colors with the metal roof. Very excited that we were able to kind of work through those ideas and and get them incorporated as well.
Hang on. Commissioner Kuczynski.
I'm sorry. Why are the columns in front of the police department made of brick? And the columns in front of City Hall are apparently cinder block or stucco?
Yeah, they're.
Can we not match them?
We could. I think what we decided to do was keep material palette pretty simple on the outside and also using the split face block. We just felt like it was a decision to make it a little simpler and more cost effective in many ways than providing two different materials on the exterior.
I think it would look better if they both matched. Just my opinion.
Okay. I'll be there. I think there's ways to look at it. It depends on how you see it. I think that if we can match them if they want to be matched. I think keeping a simple material palette, especially for bidding and what we're doing with the masons and stuff, it doesn't add a ton of cost, but there is some cost difference in having those different materials on the outside. But I understand your comment, so if that's something that's very important to us, we can certainly entertain that within the process of construction and during the bidding phase.
Do you need to know now, or, in other words, I can do a consensus real quick, and as far as that goes?
Yeah, I mean, we can know now. It can also be done as a change during construction. It's not a huge deal, but we do need to know now before we go to bid if it's something that we definitely want to change, because we need to incorporate it into the drawing.
Okay.
It's a little late in the game, but it can definitely be.
Back it up one.
Back it up one picture, yeah, there you go. That shows the red brick and the other one, the hill.
No,
Yeah.
see the.
We were so, conversation went on about that the both buildings would look similar since they were a, government complex, that we matched the roof and everything else, and I'm like, I could see that immediately, and I would like to have it matched, so that's my vote.
What's the feeling down at this end?
We don't know the cost, I mean,
Block
is cheaper than brick.
Recommendation is this late in the game. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I mean, it's really an aesthetic choice at this point. It's also introducing another material that we'd have to procure. That's really where the cost will be coming from. And much of what we've done with just as a clarification, again, there's no water table that's blocked on this building either, just to kind of modernize this building and bring it to a standard where much of the material detailing is done through the nuance of the brickwork and some of the different things like the header above the windows is very similar to this building. Window openings and proportion and sizing of the windows is very similar, and everything else about the building, including the roof, which is the main identifying factor, I would believe, especially with color, we can match, and we have provided that, given that this is something that we decided.
you wouldn't see the bottom of the building, it's just the column.
Yeah, Commissioner Kuczynski, if you'll notice that the bottom part of the City Hall building would match the columns as they presented them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand why the two buildings don't match, and that was, I think we've said that over 5 years. I think we said that a lot. I see what you're talking about. The bottom is white all the way across the front. Maybe down the side too, I don't know, but, I mean, it was a large point of, we wanted the buildings to match.
Well, and I think to the general idea of it, they do match. I kind of like the idea that there is a little difference between the two in order to designate one from the other.
It's okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion, and I don't get a vote, so.
No, well, you might if there's a tie.
So, what is the consensus? Do you want to change the columns?
Keep in mind, before we vote.
Well, this won't vote, this is just going to be a consensus.
Also keep in mind schedule impacts due to what we're talking about. I don't know if they're significant, but it does transitions and things like that for detailing would change a few of those details, and we would need time to incorporate that before we go to bid. So if that's something that's made before we go to bid, there is potential schedule impact to what we're proposing tonight, which up until this date has been relatively on schedule, so. Put it out there.
I don't care.
Okay. What about you two? You want it changed?
I
Leave it
want
like
it changed.
Consensus has it, we're gonna leave it like you've got it drawn.
Thank you. Quickly to transition to the City Hall building renovation. all of this is unchanged from the last time we were here. This has just been us working to develop details based on what we have in this drawing, minor modifications, but also just rearrangement of some of the spaces to include some future growth. Again, the planning department, some shared conference room spaces, and again, much of what you see on the far right-hand side where we are today is mostly unchanged except for finishes and otherwise. And lastly, worked a little bit, this is very much in line with what we looked at last time. I think it's a couple $100,000 difference here, but a lot of that was due to the, what we voted in last time for some of what were considered alternate options then, so like the ADA ramp and a few other things with exterior to the building. The one thing I will mention here is that the base bid, at least in this case, we're calling it bid, it's actually not a bid, but in our base scope of work that we're showing on the drawings is right around $5.1 million. The two things I do want to draw your attention to are still currently, we're going to be bid as ad alternates, meaning when the contractor provides the pricing to you all, or to the town, or to the city, excuse me, they will have these items enumerated separately and with a separate cost, so that they can be either accepted or rejected as part of that add to the $5.1 million. So that $5.1 million includes everything that you've seen on the screens that we've shown so far. The only things that would be outside of that will have a separate price tag assigned to them by the contractors on bid day will be the EV charging infrastructure in the city hall, again, to replace the existing light fixtures with new fixtures that has a separate dollar amount that for the estimate has been shown here, but again, will show up separately on bid day as well.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem, any questions? Commissioner Way, any questions?
No, sir.
Commissioner Albright, any questions?
No, sir.
Commissioner Kuczynski?
It's not a question. This is the very first time that we've seen these exterior pictures of the two buildings side by side. Is that correct?
We've shown them several times, at least one time.
Okay.
Because we had to choose between an asphalt shingle, which we showed in comparison to the metal roof.
So did we look at the roof, or were we looking at both buildings side by side like we are today?
Everything in the images is unchanged except for the roof.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, no more questions. I'll entertain a motion to release the documents for the construction of new police department building and renovation of City Hall bid.
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Way. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, that was a little diversified, wasn't it? So we're at 10C. Yeah. It's hard for me to see in
Me too, it kind of runs together.
All right, Mr. Faines, I believe financial report for June 2025.
I got a show today. I think we've had good evening, good night, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I bring before you the June financial summary report. Quick things to notice, yes, this is the last month of the fiscal year, but there's still additional revenue that we're expected to receive, such as sales tax and the last payments from the county for stormwater and property taxes, and also utility and franchise tax. Some of that we received from the state that we're still waiting to receive that come quarterly. So once you see these numbers, just know that it's not all revenue for last fiscal year, that we're still awaiting some additional revenue and expenses as well. As invoices come in throughout this month, that will have to be back to the last fiscal year. So if you look at the revenues, we're at 90% collected of revenues, right on pace to collect all of estimated property taxes for the fiscal year, as well as sales and use tax. The breakdown of recreation revenues, you can see that we were a little underestimated for the fiscal year, but you all gave direction to the recreation director to take a look at those revenues for the upcoming fiscal year. If we go down to general fund expenditures, we're at 91% expensed. Stormwater revenue, for total stormwater revenue, collections from the county, we're at 104%, collected, so we collected more than we projected for the fiscal year. Stormwater fund expenditures, we're at 68% expense. Power bill fund revenues, 100 of actual power bill fund revenues, which includes the 2 allocations from the state and also interest income on those funds, we're at 110% collected. And as far as power bill fund expenditures, we're at 54% expensed. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
All right, Commissioner Kuczynski, any questions?
Nope, thanks, Lee.
Commissioner Way?
No, thank you, Lee, as always.
Commissioner Albright?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem? Lee, as always, excellent job.
Thank you all.
All right, we move down to 10F, discussion on the school resource officer agreement. Commissioner Kuczynski.
All right, so I have brought this to the board, because of, the amount of money that the county is giving us for the time that we are providing SROs. Brought that to my attention. And when I went through the entire agreement, I noticed that there were some questionable terms in this school resource officer agreement from July 1st of 2022. I know that Mr. Frangos was interim at the time, and I'm sure he gave it to us in our agenda packet, but I didn't catch them then. But I have caught them now and brought it to the attention of the city manager, and, the city attorney and the city manager. And, the city attorney agrees with me that this contract needs to be tied down just a little bit tighter. There are elements in this contract that cause liability issues to the city of Creedmoor. And I am extremely concerned about the liability to the city. So I would like to see us work to tighten up the areas through our attorney with the, Mr. Winborn, our chief of police, and Mr. Turner to, I've expressed the areas of liability that I'm concerned about, and I'll be glad to share one of them with the board if you'd like. It, talks about that the SRO shall have a lunch hour in here somewhere, but it does not say where that lunch hour shall be taken. And if one of our officers leaves campus to go have lunch, which they don't do usually, but if they do, I don't want a liability issue to the city. So I want to have these more specific, and make sure that when we have this agreement, all these extracurricular events that are, this contract appears to only outline the school year. I don't believe it covers all the additional time that the school requires or would like to request an SRO. And I just would like it to be a lot more specific because our budget is very, very tight, and considering the amount of money that the county and the school give us, and our expenses for these officers are going up, but the amount of money we receive from the county and the school has not gone up in several years. So I think we need to renegotiate a little bit of the money and make sure that this contract is tied down a little tighter so that there is no question of liability in this contract for our police department or the city of Creedmoor. I'm looking out for our citizens and our trying to be fiscally responsible about, the use of our officers, which I'm not denying. I just want to be more fiscally responsible, with this contract and not leave the city of Creedmoor open for a possible liability issue. And that's why I'm bringing it to everybody's attention and asking that, maybe that the board would agree to have the city manager and the city attorney work on the next year's, because this one expires, July 1st, 26?
Yes, ma'am.
The amendment expires July 1st, 26, and I would like to see us work towards a better agreement next year. This is the base agreement. The amendment, I think, is fine, but the base agreement, which the amendment keeps referring back to, there's some liability issues in some of the paragraphs, and I would like to see it tied down.
Anybody have any questions for Commissioner Kuczynski? I will speak that, I do agree with the points that she has brought in. We need to make sure what our SROs are doing is what is not only expected by the county and school system, but by us also. City Manager.
Commissioner Kuczynski has brought out several legitimate points. The contract addresses us providing SROs for 10 months out of the year. It doesn't speak specifically to what the additional requirements are. For example, there's 1 week of juvenile conference the officers are required to go to. There's an SRO conference at state and county level they're required to go to. There's a 9th grade academy this year that I don't believe they had last year, which requires the officers there for the entire month of July. There's practice of sporting events and FFA and school kid volunteer programs and several things that have kind of morphed into more requirements for them. So I think it's a great idea to look at revisiting this. And we had an increasing cost in salaries and health benefits and insurance and all those things. Our cost has continued to grow, but the amount of 75 from each other entity just hadn't changed. So we need to revisit the percentages of those and come up with another recommendation to the school system.
Any questions for for the City Manager?
No, I agree with those as well.
All right. Let's move on to discussion items. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. The first I'd like to do is thank you all for your support and approval of the Emergency Operation Plan. The clerk has copies for each board member tonight if you want to pick those up on the way out. And once you go through those, if you've got thoughts, comments, or questions, I'd like to hear from you on those. On June 23rd, Turner Asphalt completed the removal and repaving of Driftwood Circle and Scott Street utilizing city POW bills, and Public Works has received numerous thank you cards for that work.
No relation.
No relation.
Thank you.
June 25th, 2025, House Bill 26 passed by the North Carolina General Assembly, which approved the de-annexation of the 75.81 acre tract that was located in the city limits of Creedmoor. It has passed, been ratified by the House and Senate, and I would think the next step would be the governor's office, but it may just pass at that level. Senate Bill 119 is a bill entitled An Act to Add Certain Properties to the Corporate Limits of Creedmoor. You may remember House Bill 1061 that died in committee. So anyway, the first reading of this was on February 21st, 2025. It was referred to the Senate Rules and Operation Committee, where it still remains. So the future of this bill is still up in the air. BC3 Executive Summary for the month ended 30 June 25 reported 60 work orders were opened and 46 were closed. Next month, an honors seminar in economic development will take place at the Creedmoor Community Center. This is a 4-hour place-based and customized training specific to the needs of Creedmoor and Butner areas. The training is being provided by East Carolina University, coordinated and hosted by Charla Duncan, who you met at one of your previous meetings, who's the Economic Development Officer. 3 representatives from each municipality have been invited to attend, and Mayor Wheeler, Mayor Pro Tem Gleason, and myself will be representing the city there. Also next month, the city of Creedmoor will be hosting the city county managers lunch meeting, and we'll do that at Yakimo's restaurant here in town. And today I hand delivered the first of the 2 payments to the Creedmoor Fire Department to Assistant Fire Chief Matt Foley. So, Mayor, that's all I have, subject to board questions.
Any questions for the city manager? Commissioner Kuczynski.
So, to expand on the annexation bill, we have received an email from Senator Everett stating that the Senate Majority Leader wants a resolution from the county commissioners to say that it's okay for us to annex this property, which is not required by anybody. I've spoken to the chair of the county commissioners, and they are not interested in getting involved in this anyway because it's not required. I think without that resolution, the annexation is not going to go through until we have a different Senate Majority Leader. I don't know. But that's where the annexation bill is. That's what they're told.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, got manager's report, department head report should be in your packet. Anybody have any questions for those? Not seeing any. We'll move on to Commissioner Way and Commissioner Kuczynski with the Sigwassa report.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if you haven't noticed or not, the Sigwassa staff has started tackling the plethora of hydrant violations that we have reported from the fire department standpoint over the years, and they are making repairs throughout the city limits of Creedmoor to those fire hydrants and repainting them as they make those repairs. So they are going down our list with that, and that is outstanding.
It really is, and you can thank them on behalf of the city of Creedmoor.
I did approach the executive director at our last meeting, and I had two questions which I wanted updated information on. One of them was the replacement of the filters at the water treatment plant, which they are in the process in the next, hopefully a few weeks of getting on that. They're going to take one basin down at a time and replace the filter medium and the nozzles in that basin, and then hopefully do two and until they're done, so that way we can stay on track with that. And the other question was, I asked where we were on the PFAS filtration system as far as what medium that we would like to utilize based on where we were with the consultant's recommendations. And he was supposed to have us an answer by the next meeting. On Friday of last week, they were supposed to meet, I believe, to go over and hash out their findings. And as you know, if you kept up with any of the information that I forwarded or whatnot, their timeline, of course, just is not on the timeline of what we as a community want to see. And your representatives in Creedmoor are pressing to make sure that we're forefront with this and pursuing all matters to get this filter mediation done as soon as possible.
All right. Commissioner Kuczynski, any additional input?
The only thing that I wanted to add was the phase 2 of the I-85 project finally got a bid awarded, right?
One bid.
At our, like the week of our last meeting. So according to the timeline that I've seen, the I-85 sanitary sewer project is now moved out to 2028. So we're 3 years from now.
All right, anything else? All right, that takes care of that. Commissioner's report. Commissioner Kuczynski, since you just spoke, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems like forever since we had a meeting and had to go back and start looking. And I attended the Juneteenth event in the Willow Oak Room, which was decorated very, very well. I thought that our new rec director did a great job. There was a good speaker there, and everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves. The speaker talked about African-American leaders in our community and held up a picture of one leader in our community and mentioned one. But I wanted to expand on that And I wanted to say, we need to recognize that we have several African-American leaders in our community. We have Zelodius J., who's been a commissioner in this county for many, many years. Tony Cozart, I believe both of them are over 30 years. G.C. Hawley is someone we should recognize. Mary Potter. Leonard Peace was on the Board of Education for over 30 years. And of course, our own Commissioner, Archer Wilkins. And I think that speaks a lot to our community, and I hope that they know how much we do appreciate all the work that they do. I attended the Disaster Recovery Expo. I attended a UNRVA meeting. I attended the 4th of July and was very proud to stand on the stage and sing the national anthem with Mayor Dover from the city of STEM, which a lot of people don't sing the national anthem, and I wish we would all voice our pride in our country and sing for it. Of course, I attended this Creedmoor Sigwasa meeting that we have monthly and talked to, I talked about the fire hydrants because I wasn't sure why some of them were painted and some of them weren't, but Commissioner Way has got the answer for that. I also wanted to express one more time my extreme sympathy to the family of our local veterinarian, Lori Scapino, who passed away last weekend suddenly at a very young age, and hope that her family knows what an important member of our community she was, not only as a vet. Every one of these little libraries you see all over Creedmoor, that's Lori Scapino. The flowers in front of the senior center, that's Lori Scapino. She has helped so much with the Rotary Club and volunteering at National Night Out and our music festival. And I don't personally think, and I hope I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think she can be replaced with all the stuff she did for this community. And I hope that she knows how much she was loved.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Albright.
So I didn't really have anything that I could pretend. But Mike, I have a question for you, if I can ask you something. Do you have any updates on Brames Crossing? They seem to be moving a lot of dirt from place to place to place to place to place, but I'm not sure, like, how well that is going back there.
Well,
I'm asking for friends. Yeah.
They told us they have over a year's worth of construction still to do. They were in that rough grading stage where they're having to level, different areas and move that soil from where it's not needed to where it is. But then, they haven't even really started the lift station, the water distribution lines, the sewer, wastewater collection system. They've still got a long way to go.
Now, they do have,
Tell your friends to chill.
well, it's more than one. They do have the water,
Some of that in the ground.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, yeah.
They still got, imagine the.
Full of frogs.
Right, the right
Yeah.
way, streets, the paving,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. They've
Yeah.
got a lot more to do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not easy and it's not fast.
Yeah, no, okay, well, that's good. And I see Chastity's not here, and I kind of had a question for her. Should I just, since we're kind of beyond our bedtimes, should I email or should I ask?
I'll be glad to relay that. I don't require the department heads to come unless they've got an item on the agenda, so
Okay.
I'll be happy to pass that along.
Well, I just wondered, I know I had heard that they had put some seating down on the field, and that I see here that we have some reservations for the field, the Reese Roberts Field.
Seeding, like grass seeding?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So if we seeded, are we watering it? Isn't there a?
It's an underground irrigation system
Yes.
that's in the ground.
Yes, so is it being if there's seed down, is it being watered? Because it won't grow. I mean, granted, we've had rain, but, with it seeding, I mean, you still need to, water it. And I was curious as to how we are promoting the field. Like, I really haven't seen anything, as far as out the, so I was kind of curious as how these people got on the
rentals.
Okay, one of those is Chastity's and one Public Works. I'll get an answer. I'll find out.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, since, you brought up Range Crossing, are they putting auto flushes in there?
They're supposed to put an auto flusher in every single cul-de-sac, because they have 14 of them.
Okay, I just wanted to,
It was
I just want to make sure that hadn't dropped off by the wayside, since we hadn't really mentioned it any times lately. Mr. Albright, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Way?
Sir, the only thing I have to add is, as we finish up this last little bit of the summer, I hope that, our staff and, others have had a chance to take a little reprieve and break, spend time with their family and their friends, and remember what it's all about, to just take a moment to just step back and breathe a little bit. I guess I'll just take this moment to basically say that, I appreciate the work that our staff does day in and day out. They're extremely appreciated in their expertise of their different areas. And I got my wonderful tax bill in the mail from Granville County, so that was good to see.
Was it really?
I was so excited. And I would like to give a shout out to our Creedmoor Police Department and Chief, you and your staff. Unfortunately, sometimes we have situations that happen this past weekend that required sudden movements and investigation processes of a shooting in our community. But the swift movement of our department and our partners in law enforcement in the county with the sheriff's office and so forth did a great job, and I appreciate all that.
I'll go to you. Chief, the shooter, was he from our area?
Yes, sir.
Creedmoor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't have a lot to report. I've attended a couple county meetings, the City Washington meeting, and Tri-County meeting since our last meeting. I do have one thing I want to bring up. I got as did everybody, get a letter from, an email from a citizen about the Board of Elections.
Oh, my God.
They wanting it to be moved from, now that the elementary school is closed, not to the high school, but they'd rather it move to our community center. I just want to read to you what response was to this person, so that you have it, and that we don't communicate things like this between all of us on email, so that we're not holding a meeting. So my response to this citizen, who I won't say their name, I said, thank you very much for your email. This was discussed when school changes were taking place last year. Although the gym or Willow Oak Room might provide space to handle the voters, the parking lot is not. The senior center is used for meals and activities on weekdays, so for 3 or 4 hours, much of the upper parking lot is used. The lower parking lot, even if all gym activities were canceled, has limited spots, as well as the entrance and egress point is the same, and in a spot on 56 with no turn lane. I thank you for your email, and always feel free to reach out to me if needed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor's report, I attended Juneteenth. I would request that, as far as that goes, that our new Parks and Rec director, when she does an event like that, the agenda needs to be a little more organized. I mean, she had the things, but then we had determined I was going to present a proclamation, and that just was nowhere in there. I went up to do what I thought we had said, and then she came and asked me was there anything else I needed to do? So we need to have it bam, 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 so that I know where I'm supposed to be and they know where I'm supposed to be and where everybody else is supposed to be. That's my only question on that. I was gone the 4th of July. I appreciate all those who represented the city of Creedmoor at the 4th of July fireworks. And I want to echo the sentiments of this community and this board for our staff, our police department, every one of you. We're just so very proud of all of you, and we appreciate all the work that you do, not only for city itself, but for us too, because you sure do make this a lot easier. So thank you. All right, we do not have a closed session.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
I was told.
That's right. I mean, Kevin said it wasn't necessary, but if you bring him,
Well,
they didn't need the resolution either because they figured out a way to fund it by, the other attorney that's doing Butler will cover Creedmoor. So, sorry.
So I'm good, you're good, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, there you go.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Archie's not here, so I'll adjourn.
Motion made by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. We are adjourned.
What's your question? And he did. He sent out that email and gave the updates. He said that's all I have.
My wife looked at this.
There was a resolution included in this to fund an attorney to represent the chief for $5,000.
And I wanted to suggest that the PBA attorney represent.
And the attorney's talking and the attorney